County Commission on this 9th day of January 2015 at 1:04 p.m. Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, roll call. John Wakefield. Here. Dale Peterson. Here. Ron Dahl. Here. Sean Steffen. Here. Rory's here. Okay. Take a look at the agenda. Are there any additions or corrections to the agenda?
Is Jamie going to be here today?
Jamie is getting done with court at 1, and he will be here shortly after that.
I wonder if we shouldn't see where progress on Title VI is at.
Is he working on it?
He has been, but I don't know where we're at on it.
Can I add that to the agenda?
I think so.
Where should we put it? The end?
Yeah, whenever Jamie gets here, I guess.
When time allows, or just at the end?
What's that?
And
Oh, when time allows, we can put it down there.
Sure.
Okay, anything else?
I guess I'd move to approve the agenda with the addition of Title VI.
Been moved by Sean to approve the agenda as amended. Is there a second to the motion?
Second.
Seconded by Dale. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay, we'll review the December 23rd minutes first.
I'd move to accept the December 23rd minutes as presented and dispense with the reading.
It's been moved by Sean to accept the minutes from the December 23rd meeting and dispense with the reading. Is there a second to the motion?
I'll second that.
Seconded by John. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We'll move on to the special meeting from December 31st, please.
move to accept the December 31st minutes as presented and dispense with the reading.
Been moved by Sean to accept the December 31st meeting minutes and dispense with the reading. Is there a second to the motion?
I'll second.
Seconded by Dale. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Bills for December. Apparently a lot of folks paid their real estate taxes prior to the first of the year, huh?
Yep.
What's the TJ Electronics one for $14,350?
I do believe that's his contract.
I think that's an annual payment. But we shall see. You'll also notice that TJ Electronics isn't on the agenda today. He sent me an email yesterday or the day before and asked to be removed because he doesn't think we should sign that contract with Mid-Continent yet because the state has some new programs for internet service bandwidth capability. So he's gonna visit some more with them and then get back to us. Oh, that's down in the pile ways. Quite a ways.
I did get a hold of Verizon, and they said that our bills are at the lowest that they can go for what needs to be done, and to combine them wouldn't save us anything, is what he told me. And so then I've been trying to get in contact with him so that he can send us some information, and have not gotten a hold of him again. So we'll keep trying and try and get you guys something for next meeting.
Is workman's comp, is that an annual premium?
I think a lot of these were workman's comp.
17,080.
I think that one was too. There was a stack of them that needed to be paid in January that we got last month.
That's an annual IT management contract. That's TJ's Electronics.
So what do we get for that?
And when's it due to be negotiated?
I can't tell you that. I don't think it's in here. I'm sure that
Is it an annual contract or a 5-year?
I haven't read the
Anybody
contract,
know?
I don't think. I'm sure it's filed someplace in the auditor's office. Do you guys want to look at it?
Yeah, I don't want to wait
So-
until we know what, I think,
I mean, I'm looking at
Even
the
not being
cost,
on
and
the-
at $90 an hour, that's $159,
Yeah.
59 hours of work.
What's that now?
Well, at the 14,350, you know, I don't know what we could get out so many hours of work for it, or at his $90 rate, that's 159 hours.
but at the least he should be present to negotiate his contract for the coming year. I mean, to not show up and then
I don't know
on
what
his
it's
contract,
for or
he
what
would-
we
yeah.
get for it, or.
At least he should be here to answer some questions, I would think.
He probably did a year ago, but I can't remember the discussion.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the other one we should look at too is the item above that, South Central Dakota Regional Council, 4249. That's also on the agenda for us to talk about later. It's back on pages 31 and 32.
Yep.
And I'm not convinced for,
We're getting our bang for the buck.
no, not really. You can read on page 31 what they're proposing to do. It's an economic development council, essentially. And I admit I haven't made any meetings, but if I had made any meetings, it wouldn't have made any difference, I don't think. So.
But they are providing us with that
Mitigation.
plan.
But I think.
I think that's why we decided to stay
Yeah,
involved.
but I
I
think.
think that was temporary, we decided to stay involved.
Yeah,
Well, we haven't done the mitigation plan yet.
We don't, but we have a contract with them for that mitigation plan, and I don't know that the contract forces us to remain a member. We could have Jamie investigate and see if their contract for the mitigation plan, they have to fulfill it, whether or not we pay another annual dues, I
So
think.
does the city pay a fee too to be involved?
Yeah, they do. I'm pretty sure they do.
In the school?
No, not the school. I'm not even sure, I'm not positive the city does, actually. Because what they list back here on page 33, they just listed counties. But I
I saw
know they
that
have,
in the email.
yeah, they have city representatives.
But certainly we can't be perpetually compelled to pay dues over the acceptance of that mitigation plan. At some time, that has to be behind us and no longer obligated to pay dues. And keep in mind, they just joined this because they wanted the mitigation plan for this new project. We haven't been a member of this thing for very long.
Oh, really?
No,
2 years, 3 years?
3 years at the most.
Not very long.
And yeah. It also has something to do with that generator grant. Or
It had to do with the generator, and people have told me that Diane Cowdery was big on getting us to join, and that Gary Cowdery got some kind of funds for starting a business of automobile.
Oh, years ago.
Oh, wasn't that, but it was I thought it was the South Central Dakota Regional Council.
Well, we just joined again, the way I understand,
Oh,
3
okay.
years ago in response, because of the
Oh,
the
okay.
funding for this new courthouse.
Yeah.
But we didn't get the generator. We did that without them.
No, that's true, we didn't, yeah.
And being we did the generator without them, the mitigation plan doesn't make, we don't need that either.
Yeah.
The mitigation plan was in order to qualify for the funds for the generator, the way I interpreted that thing. And we went out on our own and got the generator, so.
Yeah, otherwise they would have tried to write a grant for the generator
Correct.
through the.
And it was up to $200,000 is what was available for the generator. And then in order to receive that grant, you had to go through the mitigation process. Well, that's all water under the bridge.
The generator got rolled into the courthouse or the
Yeah, the building
EOC?
authority.
Or FF&E.
FF&E, yeah. And a fraction of what they were gonna, so. But I mean, what's NACO? That's dues.
North Dakota Association of Counties,
Okay, what's NDACO?
North Dakota
And
County
a-
Commissioners Association, I think.
Okay, so we have $450 and then $450 for dues, and then $5,000 for dues, and $200 for dues, and $800, and
Well, I know that this-
$1,500, and then $3,600, and then $4,000. We have about $20,000 in dues that we're paying for all these different entities within the county, which seems ridiculous to me.
I know this NDAO, that one for the general dues commissioner, that was you returning your videos for your training. So then that was the 450.
Okay.
I do know that one.
Then the $5,000 for the North Dakota Association of Counties plus $200 dues, and then CTHSE. What's that stand for?
I've still got those training videos at my house. Maybe if I send them back to
You send them back, then we'll
that
get.
450.
That's your fault then.
Well, then you'll be billed.
Then we'll get billed anyway. So
You'll get billed for them when you get them back. I will. No, the county gets billed.
but then $801 to the North Dakota Association of Counties for the 911 wireless, and then $3,600 for the North Dakota State Radio for 911, $1,500 for the North Dakota County Commission Association is $1,500.
Are these all required or not
State
required.
radio commission.
Yeah, I mean, it's just on and on and on. These bureaucracies being supported by a bureaucracy. It doesn't make any sense and not providing anything to the citizens of Griggs County for it.
I think all those invoices are over there.
Well, I don't know if they wanna see them.
No, I don't want to see them. I just want to know if we're what we
Obligated
get
to-
for our money.
Well, that or if it's required
Right.
or not required.
The North Dakota Association of Counties for $5,000 seems ridiculous to me.
Dues, delegate travel. What do we got here?
So it's just this one, this dues, it went under there.
Yeah.
So I'm not really,
Okay. $175 of that $200 invoice was those videos I had.
Mm-hmm.
You don't get reimbursed for that? I mean, that's what it costs to have those videos?
I do believe so.
It's a real racket, is what it is.
You can't pass them around. Each one has to.
Only one can have it, send it back, and that person will get their certificate.
But you can thank the legislature for that because they're the ones that are requiring the education,
And
so.
who do you think lobbied for that?
I don't know.
Who? The guys that are collecting
Oh, okay.
the $400 for sending tapes around to perpetuate their existence.
Yeah.
Equal opportunity beggars. I don't care if it's from the citizens or another bureaucracy or where it comes from.
So this 911, I think the way this looks, 15% of wireless revenue, 15% of landline revenue, that must get paid to us by the local telephone providers and then we reimburse the state or what?
Well, you'd have to talk to Connie about that one. Because that one was from Connie.
911 is in here 5 times.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, maybe we should just table the bills until Connie's here at 2 o'clock and we can ask her the questions.
Yeah, maybe, because
I see no sense in paying a $5,000 membership due if it's not mandatory. Or even 1,500 for that.
What does the County Commissioners Association do?
Sends us a newsletter,
Oh yeah,
All that.
I get that newspaper.
indoctrination material.
You
have you
get
ever
paid.
read it?
Hmm?
Have you ever read it?
Yeah, if I want to be liberated, I read it. It's kind of like an electric fence.
I only touch it once.
Just don't go there, so that's why I read it, make sure I understand.
You're still praying?
Yeah. I move we table the bills until the treasurer is here at 2 o'clock.
Been moved to table
Sorry.
the bills by John Wakefield until Connie gets here. There's seconded by Tom. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. I believe the next thing on the agenda is to review the monthly office reports.
I'd move to accept the office reports as presented.
Been moved by Sean to accept the monthly office reports. Is there a second to the motion?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Ron. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Move on to the next item, and I think at this time I turn it over to Samantha.
I open the floor to
Nomination.
nominations for chairman.
I nominate Troy.
Nomination for
Chairman.
Troy
For chairman.
for chairman. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Sean.
I'll move to cease nominations.
I'll second that.
Sounds like collusion. If somebody else wants to do it, I sure
I'm, if you're happy doing it, I'm happy with you doing it. I'm happy with Ron being the vice chairman. I'm also fine with any changes, other than I don't want to be the one of them.
Yeah, if anyone else wants to be vice chairman, I'm sure fine with it. I haven't done anything as vice chairman, but you're sure welcome to.
No, I don't think we should, it's working real smoothly, and Troy's got a very good grasp on this. Again, I'm open to anybody else being, that's fine also, but as long as it's not me.
Is there any more discussion? Any discussion? Any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. John?
Aye.
Dale?
Aye.
Ron?
Aye.
Might as well vote aye.
Doesn't matter.
Should I drop my trade whistle?
Motion carries.
Okay.
That confirms your conclusion of the collusion also.
Afraid of that. Okay, thank you. I guess.
That means I'm still vice chairman, I guess.
No, we gotta do that.
And I think Troy will take over the meeting.
Oh,
Yep.
okay.
At this time, I'd open the floor to nomination for vice chairman.
I'd nominate Ron Dahl as vice chairman.
Been moved by Sean to nominate Ron Dahl for vice chairman. Is there a second?
I'd second.
Seconded by Dale. Are there any further nominations? Are there any further nominations?
I move that nomination cease.
Cast a unanimous ballot.
Hmm?
Then cast a unanimous ballot.
Okay.
Okay. Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second the motion.
Seconded by Sean. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. John?
Aye.
Dale?
Aye.
Ron?
Aye.
Sean?
Aye.
Troy votes aye. Motion carries. Congratulations, Ron.
Yeah.
You too. Yeah, we worked ourselves right out of any business. There's no one left here to talk to.
We can talk about Betty.
Yeah.
She's not gonna.
Well, we
come.
have the board appointments as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you guys want to
I'd
switch around the board appointments at all, or do you want to leave them as they are?
keep them all the same.
You need a motion for that.
You really have to have them all that long.
No.
Right.
You need a motion. I'd move to keep all board appointments of commissioners the same as they were for 2014.
Been moved by Sean to leave the board appointments in place for 2015. Is there a second to that motion?
I'd second.
Seconded by Dale. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All right. Now we can go back to the bills, because Connie's here.
Should we do the finish the oath of office first?
Oh, we can do that. Oh, this is for the commissioners.
Yeah.
Just the three. Do you all want to say it together?
All five have to, the chairman and the vice chairman have to also.
Do they?
Yeah, because they're all still commissioners.
Well, I thought it was like your term.
I think so.
Is it that's what I thought too. I questioned it
Okay.
too. So I just did it for you.
I'm
for
still
the-
under my oath from October of 2013.
Okay.
So if you all want to do it together, you surely can. Ready, set, go.
You got to lead us.
I don't have one.
I,
Aye.
State your name.
Well, can't we just attest to it? Well, I'll start out. I, John Wakefield, do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of North Dakota, and I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office of County Commissioner according to the best of my ability, so help me God. Sign, John.
I, Dale Peterson of Laverne, North Dakota, do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of North Dakota, and I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office of County Commissioner according to the best of my ability, so help me God.
Me too. I, Ron Dahl of Cooperstown, North Dakota, do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of North Dakota, and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office of County Commissioner to the best of my ability. So help me God. Amen. Is there something else I did?
Did you sign it?
Oh, what? No, I didn't.
So now you just have to sign it as a signature of office holder, and then I'll notarize it for you. Thank you.
I'm not sure if that under pains was any good, but under pains and what else was it?
And penalty of perjury.
Pains and penalty, okay.
okay, now we'll move back to the bills, I think. Get that taken care of. All these 911 bills, Connie, are those collected from the phone companies by the county and then reimbursed to the state? Is that how that's why?
State gets 15% of them,
So,
of what we collect each month.
okay.
Yeah.
So the phone company is paying that through our check.
Several phone companies, yeah.
Yeah, Verizon, North Dakota Telephone,
Yeah.
Griggs County.
Yeah, Griggs County, and the Community, Dakota Communications, Fuller Communications, Singular, One Call.
Okay,
Yeah. We pay one call, yes.
right. But those people all pay us.
They all pay in, yeah.
We were,
They, yeah, that's where that charge on your phone bills for $1.50.
okay.
And,
I couldn't remember how that worked, but I thought that was all that. How come the North Dakota Association of Counties gets $800 for that?
They do some of the administrative work I don't
Oh.
know exactly what it is they do, but
I see.
since we started collecting nine-one-one fees, they've been involved.
Huh.
They collect all of the Vonage fees and then just distribute them to the counties twice a year. And then I don't know what else they do.
North Dakota County Commissioner Association, is that mandatory?
I don't think so, I don't know.
How about the North Dakota Association of Counties general dues, is that mandatory?
Probably not, I don't think either one.
Well, we use those guys for a resource quite a bit.
Yeah,
I don't know if the North Dakota County Commissioners Association, I have never heard or seen from anything of those folks.
well, they have their convention at the same time the association does. So when you get invited to that in October, it's a combination of the two. But I don't know,
But what value do they provide to the counties individually?
I don't know. Commissioners.
Evidently, $300 per commissioner. I think, again, if it's not mandatory and they don't provide anything, why are we paying it?
Do we need a motion to take it off then if we decide to go that route? I'm not sure.
Well, I don't know.
Okay.
But that's how we've done it in the past, I think, Ron.
Well, what'll happen is if we don't pay it, they will,
Either that or you can make a motion to approve all the bills except for that one, and now if that motion passes, it'll come out of there and it'll stay in the treasury.
if it's truly needed, they'll come and explain to us why we need it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they're not gonna.
That's true for a lot of them.
Yes, it is.
The South Central Dakota Regional Council, again, if we dropped out, if they would come to us and say, look, you're not gonna get your mitigation plan, and we could say, oh shucks, we didn't realize that.
Yep.
But I think it's probably better just to force them.
Well, again, do we need the mitigation plan?
Well, we do to get federal grants. Like if we had a big flood, FEMA flood, supposedly you can't get the grant without a mitigation plan. That's what these people, South Central Dakota, has told me.
That's the way they're promoting their association is they're tying it to the federal, to the FEMA funds, because we have a mitigation plan, so to speak, in place for that disaster that might possibly happen.
But that's never been the case in the past. Is
Yes,
this,
no, I think it's new.
I mean,
I was just gonna say this, working with another county, when they were going through the whole updating of their plans, they chose not to because they didn't see the value of updating their plan. Subsequently, we were working on a hazard mitigation grant for a project, and they spent a lot of money, went through the whole process, and then the very last thing, they told them no, because you did not update your mitigation. So that was another county, so
Yeah, I think it's
that was
better.
one case.
I think we should update the mitigation plan, but I don't think we should remain a member of this group.
We do have one though, right?
No, not
We
yet.
don't have one.
No, me and Dale are conscientiously attending those meetings.
Yeah. How do you mitigate the weather? That's
Yeah.
usually the biggest problem.
Yep. What to do with the event of cold weather, what to do in the event of warm weather. But,
dress warm and feel your food.
Yeah, put number one in your school bus so it doesn't quit. You don't need to build a heated bus barn to mitigate the issue. You need to maintain your buses.
That sounds like maintenance and not hazard.
Yeah. But people just throw out ideas trying to hope they stick to some money.
I thought heated barns for the snowplows in Binford and Hannaford was a good idea myself, but and they said federal grants would probably pay for that. But, you know, well, that's another subject. But yeah.
So that we don't have a mitigation plan in place.
No.
Once it's in place, how often does it have to be updated? And do we need the South Central to update it, or can we do that on our own then?
Yeah, I think with South Central, we signed a contract with them to pay them about $30,000 to do this plan. And $29,000 of it is reimbursable from the state of North Dakota.
Right.
And we paid them maybe $10,000 of the $30,000 so far. So I don't know that we need them, but we will get reimbursed for the cost of doing it with South Central. And it'll be hard to do it, I think, without South Central. They're kind of leading the paperwork part of it. Yeah.
But this $4,200 isn't part of that. This is
No.
dues for this over and above that cost.
Yeah, that's annual dues, and I don't think we need to, I think we should challenge that. We should not pay the annual dues and just say, we have a contract for the mitigation plan, let's keep going, but we don't want to pay the annual dues anymore.
Mm-hmm. Or at least have them come and explain to us what the difference is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think
Wasn't there someone here from South
Yeah,
Central?
we had somebody here once.
for the mitigation plan.
That was the mitigation plan.
Must have been.
Yeah, because that's where you and me got volunteered.
Yeah.
I know what happens when you pick the taxpayer's pocket and spend it in the name of economic development.
Yeah.
Somebody creates a job for themselves, but that's the extent of the economic development.
It's the administration.
Well, should we not pay these dues dependent on the different agencies, associations coming and talking to us and explaining to us what we're getting for those monies?
Yes, you can do that.
I think that'd be a fair.
Yeah, I think there's 3 of them in particular. Well, there's probably more than 3, but I highlighted the 5,033 for NDACO, 1,500 for the county commissioners, and the 4,249 for South Central.
Yeah.
But there may be more in addition to that.
Well, the rest of them really have to do with
911.
911.
Well, there's the County Recorder Association, 150. That's not much money. But
A very big one. I think that's, they provide training and stuff to the recorders. I think there's more
yeah, probably so.
justification for that than there would be for the County Commissioners Association based on
And I
the
don't
amount
know.
of contact I've had with them.
Yeah. And we can just postpone paying this pending some explanation of what we get for the dues.
Yeah, and on the second page, there's $71.77 to the Griggs County Job Development Authority.
Yeah, what, I thought they were no longer in existence. Is that paying out, or is that paying out something that, what is that?
That would be prior year's taxes collected when they were the.
Oh, sure.
Okay, all right.
There might still be a few of those checks.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, because any commitments that they made prior, that we're trying to.
Anybody that's playing the 3-year game,
Yeah.
there's
Right.
gonna be a
Okay.
little trickle.
Mhm.
Okay.
Sure.
So I move that we set aside the $5,033 for the North Dakota Association of Counties, the $1,500 for the North Dakota County Commission Association, and the $4,249 for the South Central, pending an explanation of what we get for these monies.
I'd like to add one more too, the $14,350 to TJ Electronics.
Okay.
Yeah, good point, I think.
That can probably be a separate issue. That's not related to a contract.
I mean,
That's,
if we're gonna approve.
yeah.
both with the
Okay,
exception
you want
of
to
that, yeah.
set it aside, okay.
So,
And approve the rest as presented? Is that how?
Well, I think there should be a separate motion then setting aside the 14,350 pending a negotiation or explanation of his contract, I think is that. So I think we should do the 3 dues ones together and then the.
Okay.
You need a second then for your motion, then we'll do that.
Correct.
Yeah, I'll second John's motion to withhold the 5,033, the 4,249, and the 1,500 from those 3 organizations until pending we get an explanation.
Been moved by John, seconded by Ron to withhold the North Dakota Association of Counties dues for $5,033, the North Dakota County Commissioners Association dues for $1,500, and the South Central Regional Council dues of $42.49, pending explanation of the benefit to the county. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. John?
Aye.
Dale?
Aye.
Ron?
Aye.
Sean?
Aye.
Troy votes aye. Motion carries.
Okay, now I'd like to make a motion to set aside the $14,350 to the TJ Electronics pending explanation of his contract with the county.
Contract review. Is there a second to the motion?
I'd second.
Seconded by Dale. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. John?
Aye.
Dale? Aye. Ron? Aye. Sean?
Aye.
Troy votes nay. Motion carries.
Then one other bill is $1,800 for 911 equipment. Zurcher Tech.
Oh, that's on the second page.
Yeah.
Super Tech? Yeah, I don't know what it is.
Yeah, no, H.E. Everson's had office supplies.
WD-40.
Yeah. That's what it was too.
Okay, here's a letter to Wayne. According to our records, support and maintenance on one or more of your Zurcher products will expire in 1/22/15. Encloses your invoice totaling $1,800 for the renewal of the following products. 8 seats of Insight mobile software maintenance, annual maintenance, $900. 1 6-month subscription to the web-based address point maintenance utility, $900. This is the hardware and software that they use to document their inspection program.
Yep.
So we implemented it. I don't think we better not quit paying for it. Anything else?
I move we pay the remaining bills as presented, taking out the TJ Electronics, the North Dakota County Commission Association, the North Dakota Association of Counties, and the South Central Regional dues.
Been moved by John to approve the December vouchers and January bills minus the 4 bills that were removed by prior motions. Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Seconded by Dale. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. John?
Aye.
Dale?
Aye.
Ron?
Aye.
Sean?
Aye.
Troy votes aye. Motion carried. Okay. Connie is next.
I don't know what page you've got the interest information on.
There's no reason.
Oh, do you have it in there?
No, but I thought.
Yeah, it's in
It looks like this. Whoops.
Yeah.
Oh, did that get put in with Emily's stuff?
Interest and collection
That
stuff.
was,
Maybe on like page 20. I don't know.
26.
Which one's that?
Interest and
That kind of
Collection
collection
statistics.
statistics.
Sorry about that.
I got it.
Okay, go to page 26.
Yeah,
Okay?
and we did collect a little bit more interest this year than last, so that was good. And collections are down a little bit as of December, through the end of December. But, so that's basically just for your information. And then I have the pledge of assets.
just one quick question.
Yes.
Can you remind me what that 12% discount is?
That's what the state did a 2-year, the legislature did a 12% discount to every taxpayer. So we still get that money.
Okay, all right,
The
that's
state
it.
sends us the money. Any other questions on that? So then I have a pledge of assets that need to be reviewed and approved for the 3 grants that we listed. So I don't know if you want me to start somewhere and on the other, or there we go. I'll need to get to Troy eventually so he can sign up if you approve them.
What are the balances at these institutions?
that's,
Right now, that's on your
that's in here.
monthly report for me.
Yeah, you got
Do you
it.
need the cash report?
Yep.
Yeah, you have to
The end of the year
compare.
ones. That's what we deposited today, which was,
Page 15.
They're all adequately priced, apparently. Citizen State Bank. You guys know what, do you understand what the deal is with these pledgings?
Not exactly, if you want to explain it.
Do you wanna know?
Yeah, I'd like to know.
Okay. According to North Dakota law, if a public entity, which is anybody that's supported by taxpayer money, if they have deposits in your institution, since the FDIC insurance limit is $250,000, if the deposits in any one institution, in your institution, if you're Citizen State Bank, if the county has over $250,000 in there, the difference between $250,000 and the balance of the deposit has to be pledged against by the bank's equity. And like Citizen State Bank owns these bonds, which they use their capital to purchase, and they're held at the Bank of North Dakota for safekeeping. So the bank fills out a pledge form and pledges this asset to the county. If the bank were to become insolvent, these assets would become assets of the county.
Okay.
So it's just kind of a,
insurance.
And they do the same thing with private individuals. I mean, it's done not only.
they can, yeah.
Not only.
Most of the time it's done by using a different instrument than this, but The 110% is because the Bank of North Dakota usually gives, depending on what type of asset it is, if it's a municipal utility like this Williston, North Dakota, they'll have typically give those a 20% haircut. So if they pledge let's say a $200,000 bond, it's really only worth the $160,000 in the pledge. But actually, a lot of these are munis. I generally, when I was doing this for our bank, I usually pledged Fannies or Freddies or something else that
You need to
Didn't-
sign them if
didn't
they prefer
take-
not sign, but initial and date them if this group approves them.
We'll need a motion for that whole thing. I'll move that we accept the bank's pledge of assets for the 2015.
this is supposed to be done monthly, isn't it?
We receive the reports monthly, you're supposed to do it twice a year,
Okay.
so you'll get them again in July, the new ones.
I used to get an email from Bernadette once a month.
So I move that we accept the pledge of assets as presented, covering the monies the Griggs County has on deposit with the various institutions, excuse me.
I'll second the motion.
How come the bank forward is done differently?
I don't know. Oh, theirs is a pool. They pledged all their, all the schools and cities and our county, I don't know what other counties they have in there. But they have a large pool that they pledge everything with. They have a pool pledge agreement also.
Oh,
If
you
you
do?
wanna see that,
Okay.
yeah.
Because, right, that has to spell out that even though this pledge statement doesn't say it's pledged to us, it is pledged to us, kind of sort of.
Yes.
Okay, what's
Vote
that
on
one? Oh, that's another one? No, you got a pledging statement there.
There should be 3 of them.
Oh, this is for financial.
And you have a motion on the table. No, all right.
Aye.
Me too, aye.
Do we have a second?
Yeah, it was seconded.
Seconded by
Is there any
Tricia.
discussion? Is there any discussion? Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. John?
Aye.
Dale?
Aye.
Ron? Sean?
Aye.
Troy votes aye. Motion carried.
Thank you. One other thing is, I'd like to add Lori's name to the checking accounts now. So there would be all 4 of us on the accounts. Get a motion to do that.
I'll move that Lori's name be added to the checking accounts.
Been moved by Ron to add Lori's name to the checking account for the county. Is there a second to the motion?
I'll second that.
Second by John. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. John?
Aye.
Dale? Ron?
Aye.
Sean?
Hi.
Troy votes aye. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Anything else? Thank you for helping us.
One question,
Go through these bills.
when do we do the audit, and is Harold gonna do that, when's he gonna start on that?
I'm hoping soon because it has, it has to be done by the end of June to
Yep.
send in, so.
Do we need
He knows that.
to have an engagement contract with him, or did we already do
You
that?
already did that. I believe.
Okay.
And I'm thinking you probably want him to get started sooner because there really should be one before Sam takes in April 1st. At least mostly done, when,
Yep.
he's not the speediest, but
No.
we're not his only client either,
We
so.
got kind of a late start last
So you're
year.
gonna contact him and
I
have
can.
him get started? I think that would be,
Okay,
Okay.
right,
I think
thank
that would be
you.
beneficial.
Thanks, Connie.
Thank you, Connie.
Denny?
I've worked sit over here since I've been flying solo today. So.
You could tell them about when, do they want?
Yeah, did you guys even know that, I think it was Tuesday, Wayne started noticing like a black spot. And went in Wednesday morning and he has a partially detached retina. So they were able to get him in right away Wednesday and then they inject a little something. And so he had to sit at home, I think yesterday with his head a certain way and he was able to go back in this morning and then they were able to do the surgery to hopefully fix it up and he goes in again on Tuesday to check it out. So that's where he is right now. So not the most fun, but at least he's able to get in right away and it sounds pretty good that everything will be fine with it.
Don't you have to sit with your head down for 6 weeks or something?
It's,
A long time?
there's some
Maybe
weird
that was a
thing
different
with,
deal. My
yeah,
mom had some kind of a goofy deal. She had even rented a special desk so she could put her head down and read below it, had a hole in it.
there are some restrictions, I guess, as far as how long he's laying down or something, at least for the short time period.
Okay,
So,
different deal.
but yeah, it didn't sound like it was
She had a
extremely
hole in her
enjoyable.
or something.
Yeah. So that's what Wayne's doing today.
All right.
Okay, I got 3 things for you guys. The first thing, just a quick update as far as, the legislative session started this week. There's tons of bills being brought up in hearings and that such. A couple that pertain specifically to roads are the surge bills. I'm sure everybody's been hearing things about. Just an update that there are those 2 bills. The hearing for those is scheduled next Friday. So we'll kind of keep everybody up to date as we hear things. That's just the governor's budget had set aside, I believe it was $100 million for that. And then this bill was drafted to set aside 140.8 million for the non-oil producing counties to be split. There's some crazy formulas that nobody's even trying to figure out at this point, but there's a lot of, I don't know, people are a little nervous because the price of oil has gone down. They're trying to remain optimistic about the surge funding because surge funding just, and this is just as of the Association of Counties, they're trying to remain optimistic in the sense that the money that they're allocating for that, it's already in bank, so to speak. But who knows what will happen, because I know they were getting a lot of numbers this week and a lot of them look pretty bad as far as
Yeah, it's into this
pretty sobering.
3rd or 4th week of being below the $56 a barrel, and it doesn't have to continue too much longer, and then it's
Yeah, they had that
a
first
long,
trigger.
hard road back from there.
Yeah.
Then if it even dips below once, it starts all over again.
Yeah,
doesn't
it has to average. It has to average $56 a barrel for
6 months.
each month on a month-by-month basis. So we could dip below it during that month, or above it either way, but,
Reset.
yeah.
Yeah, so-
But it's kind of discouraging that they're using money that they've already collected, which was supposed to be put in a safe box to start with, that they're already deciding to
Well, and that's why
spend that.
that's why everything's, I think,
Well, they had an opportunity to fix it last year, but they couldn't.
Yeah.
so that's an ongoing thing. I don't know if you guys are, there's obviously several bills out there that would pertain to the counties. There's a couple very helpful things I can pass along to Sam to share with you guys. One is the Association of Counties has a legislative blog. That's a pretty helpful resource, and they put a lot of information on there. It's easy to read, easy to navigate. There's also the state has their own website where you can track specific bills. And it's a pretty informative website. If you're interested, I can pass it along to Sam and you can do what you will with it, I guess. So I'll do that.
You blogger, Matt?
You know, I'm not a blogger either. It's gonna sound like a legislative blog. I know that doesn't sound really up my alley, but it's essentially just a website and they post the information so you can just read it. You don't have to interact with it or anything. It's pretty. I thought it was set up pretty well because
Yeah,
I'm
you can
not.
pull it up by bill number or by the content of the bill, and it'll give you the whole history of it. I've seen it. But,
Yeah, so I can share it. You guys can either not read it or read it if you want to. You can spend a lot of time reading through all that stuff. But anyway, that's the first item. Second item is on the Sutton Road project. That was your project that you did overlay on at the box culvert. You utilized the House bill money for that. When we do a federal aid project after construction's done, usually highway superintendent, somebody from the district, and then somebody with us would go out and drive the project, and they would do that as a final inspection. We did that on the Sutton Road. Wayne and I went and drove it, and the only two things that were there was one core in the road that hadn't been filled, that's since been filled in, and there was some erosion control that was still in place around the box culvert, and that's since been removed. So what the state recommends, because this is what we do on a federal aid project, is we do a letter saying that the county has inspected the project and is accepting the project. This is just saying that you're satisfied with the work that's been done. We still have a separate process to final the project as far as paperwork, and in this case the contractor has a couple items that they're still getting us, but as far as the work being satisfactory, that's the purpose of this letter. The state recommended we do a letter like this for even these house bill type projects, just as part of our project records. We do these final records that on a normal project get submitted to the state and they go through it and keep them. On these projects, we do the same thing, but we keep the records because you're open to being audited for up to, I believe, 3 years. So Brian Fuchs of the DOT just recommended doing a letter so we can still show that you guys were aware that the project happened, you were happy with how it went. So I don't know if, since Wayne's not here today, since he was the one that was out on the inspection, if you guys want to act on this or if you want to wait on till the next meeting. It's not a rush, so it's up to you guys. I believe Samantha, was there a copy of the letter in your packet at all? I think that's
Nope.
I think we'd wait till Wayne's here.
okay. We can just do that. We can hold it for the next time. We'll probably have a similar letter on the seal coat project as well, so we can just do both of those at the next meeting.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Okay.
Easy enough. That's number 2. Okay. The last thing I have today then is at the last meeting, you guys selected us for the seal coat project, the federal aid project. It's the 3 projects on Highway 2 up north, on 19 south of town here, and then 26 east and west of Hannaford. You selected us to do engineering, and so we have a contract today. We'll have 2 separate contracts. Today's contract would be for preliminary and design engineering. That will take us basically from now up through when the project is bid out to the contractor to do the construction. At that time, we have a separate contract for the construction engineering. So just to clarify that up front. So today's contract would be for preliminary and design engineering for the 19.5 miles of the seal coat project. I did send this to Samantha and Wayne, and I know Wayne said he forwarded it on to Jamie. I was assuming Jamie would want to review
Jamie called me this afternoon and let me know that he had read through it and that it is fine to be signed.
Okay, good. I'll pass this around, you guys can look at it. It's a standard contract. The first part of the contract is the agreement itself, and as apparently Jamie was fine with it, it's a standard, it's an EJCDC document is what they call our contracts. There's no amendments, it's a basic language that way. There's two parts to the contract then. There's an Exhibit A that details the scope of services, which I can run through that with you guys. With the preliminary and design, that's going to take you, we have to do an environmental component. There's a document. The DOT on this type of project, it's called an ECL. That stands for Environmental Checklist. They require us to complete that. There's some supporting documentation that goes along with it. We submit that to the state. They review it. If they approve it, then they give us a CADEX. That's meaning that your project is okay. There's no environmental impact. The next thing is the preliminary plans, and then with that you have preliminary plans. Prepare those. Again, we submit to the county and to the state. We have a meeting with the county and the state to review plans, make any changes, and then we have final plans. Then it also includes the bidding. This project will be bid through the DOT. They do that online, so there's nothing they have to attend for it, but afterwards they'll send the bid to you guys. You guys get to review it, so we'd help with review recommendations. At that time, you guys would decide to either award to the contractor, or you have the option to not award for that reason. So this contract would take us all the way to that point. The second part of the exhibit is for the payment, and the amount on this contract is $22,700. Just for a point of reference, because that number probably doesn't mean much, this is a 19.5 mile seal coat. The last seal coat we did for you guys, it was 17,000. That was 10.5 miles. So price per mile, if you want to break it out that way, the last one was about 1,600 per mile. This one, as the projects get longer, the prices go down. We're under $1,100 a mile. So just to give you an idea that way. As far as percentage of construction cost, because that's another way to look at dollars, we're just over 3%. So any questions on any of that, or I can explain anything else you want to see, you can pass them around the contracts if you want to look at those. And those down. It's the same thing, there's just the original and the copy underneath. So.
Jamie's looked at it, both of them?
Yep. I sent the entire thing to him. So.
Then the funding's in place to make that payment?
Yep, and I did, I guess, to back up a little bit, I called Kent and Brian with the DOT, local government, they're our contact for scheduling the projects. Asked them if we could schedule this for the May letting. And I had to ask because they have a set schedule. So, for federal funding, if the bid letting is May, then they have to back that off 10 weeks for final plans being due. And then it's a whole thing because of all the authorization of funding. Because of that, the environmental document for this type of project was actually due last Friday, January 2nd. Asked them if we could still make the May letting as long as we had preliminary plans are due at the end of this month. So as long as we would have the environmental document submitted prior to preliminary plans, if they work with us on the deadline, and they were acceptable to that. So right now they've scheduled your project in May. They've tied the projects together. We have a project number for that. They'll essentially be borrowing ahead a year on your federal funding, but that's all in place. So.
And KLJ's fee, the $22,000, when's that due?
When does that due?
Yeah.
That's as the work progresses.
Okay.
So it'll be billed.
It's proportionally throughout the work.
Yep. When we're a point to 50% done, then it gets billed at that percentage.
Okay.
So right now it's set up to basically, since we're bidding in May, I think we have the contract set up through June. But I mean, if it ends up past June, it's
so we're just okaying the amount, and there's no payment due until we.
correct.
Okay.
Yep.
And that will be dependent on funding coming from the state also.
The funding for the engineering
federal.
is just from you guys. As far as the construction, that's the part you'll be getting the cost share on.
Okay.
The actual construction with the contractor.
Okay, what are your wishes, folks?
Do they have to be separate motions? One approving the fee, or do we just have to approve KLJ as the?
You just need to approve this contract. We already approved him as the engineer.
Yeah.
These are two copies of the same contract.
Okay.
So we're only acting on one document here. Yep.
So if we approve the contract, then there's no need for a motion to sign it, it's already been approved.
You probably want to approve the amount though, because before you selected us to do the work, but
We approved the contract based on their qualifications. We haven't approved this contract based on the project.
So we need a motion, I make a motion that we approve KLJ's contract as presented for the upcoming 2015 construction season.
Do you want the project number or something, or is that SC 2000?
yeah, probably good to at least reference either that or just the seal coat project is how we've been referred to and referred to this.
Yeah. And as presented, we'll take into account that's what's in front of us, so you can reference the number when you put it
Okay.
in the minutes.
Okay, it's been moved by John to approve the contract with KLJ. Is there a second to the motion?
Second.
Seconded by Dale. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. John?
Aye.
Dale?
Aye.
Ron? Sean?
Aye.
Troy votes aye. Motion carries.
Great, thank you guys. And we'll get that going right away, just so we can get that thing pushed out and still make the May letting, so, which is good, because I don't think they have a June letting scheduled yet, but.
Oh, Samantha.
And that's all I have for you guys. Do you guys have any other questions or anything else that you needed from me?
Who wants it? You want the original or both of them?
Yeah, I'll take the original, and then Sam, you can keep the other one for your guys' copy.
Thank you.
And then, yeah, we'll bring those, it'll probably be the two final acceptance letters then for the two projects to the next meeting. And hopefully Wayne is back up and normal then, so.
Okay. Sounds good.
It's so quiet in here. All right,
Thank you, Jenny.
good enough. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Have
Thank
a
you.
good weekend.
Yeah,
too.
you too.
You guys all watching the game?
What?
Oh, yeah.
Any Bison fans? You sure?
What game?
Yeah.
See you, Jenny. Emily?
Ready for me?
Sure. You ready for us?
I'd like to think I am. All right. We'll start with something simple. We need to set a date and time for county equalization. It's usually the first 10 days of June. You guys tend to meet on Fridays at 1 o'clock, right? So the first Friday would be the 5th. You want to set a time, maybe? The reason I need to know is because when we have the assessor class, they'll need that information because that needs to go out on any notices they send out, so.
As far as I know.
You want to pick a later time than 1, like 2:30? You guys normally have stuff before that to do at all, or do you have a preference? Anyone?
An hour and a half should give us time to
2:30
clean
should
everything
be enough
else
time.
up, so, yeah, I think 2:30, 3 o'clock.
Because we might have to move to the courtroom if there's.
Yeah, you think we should give it a little more time than that? I mean, maybe it should be like
3:30,
4, yeah.
We get our meeting done and then do that at the end.
Yeah.
4? Sound good?
I think that'd be safe. 3:34.
Yeah, it should be real safe.
Yeah.
Because it's just 2:30 now, so. That gives us
We're gonna
twice
be,
as much
we're gonna
time.
be done by 3.
Yeah, so maybe you think set it at 3 for the equalization that.
No, I did.
3:34.
Doesn't matter.
No,
You want to say
4
3:30, and if they wait a few minutes, that's fine also. You'd rather set it a little earlier than
Motion
later,
to that
wouldn't you?
effect?
I moved to set it at 3:30 on June 5th.
Been moved by Ron to set the tax equalization meeting for June 5th at 3:30 PM. Is there a second to the motion?
I'll second.
Seconded by Dale. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay.
Along the same lines, at the assessor recurrent class, part of the requirements that the state now has is that on the assessment materials I send them, it does say either a county auditor or county commissioner need to sign the report verifying the seminar was a minimum 4 hours of instruction. So, one of you is welcome to come if you want to sit and listen for 4 hours of Betty from Barnes is coming to do it. Or you can have Sam sign off on it. It's up to you guys. Someone wanna come spend the afternoon with us? The class is February, what did I say, 10th?
February 10th,
Yeah.
what day of the week?
Tuesday? Is that an up-to-date calendar? Is that a 10th, right?
That's a January.
Tuesday?
February 15th? January.
10th.
February
Yes.
10th is a Tuesday.
1 p.m.
I'll do everybody a favor and disqualify myself.
What?
Disqualify myself from that.
Well, it's a learning.
You think you'd argue with her?
What do you think?
And of course, I'd like to attend it, just
Yeah.
because I'm always willing to be brainwashed.
Okay.
Well, you certainly can, Ron. That's
No, I would like to attend it.
Okay.
Okay.
So I'll.
Hopefully others, but maybe not.
Oh, that's good.
All right, where was my note? All right, the same line as that assessor class. Previously, they'd been paid the $30 for the meeting or the class plus mileage. Did you guys want to follow the same past history with? I just want to make sure before I go paying people for stuff and all of that. So, okay, we'll keep that.
You don't need to pay me, but you can pay them.
Okay, got it.
All right.
Assessing, we're on a roll here with that. I have received phone calls from 3 townships so far. I'm expecting more, pretty much all of them that Bard assessed for. I'm expecting to contact me here or the day of the assessor class. Right now the ones are Bryan Township, Mabel, and Cooperstown. They're not able to find an assessor, so they're wanting or wishing the county to do the assessing then at that point. So I wanted to give you guys a heads up on that. County can charge them for those services, and that fee would be up to you guys. Multiple counties do it either per parcel, $2 per egg parcel, or $10 per residential or commercial, something along those lines, or a flat fee of anywhere from $300 to $600 is what is about customary for the other counties right now doing it.
Seems to me it should cost them about the same as it costs the county.
Yes. They normally, I believe, it's about lower here, 300-ish is what I had been hearing for assessors locally here. I know in Trail and Steele County, they just upped it last year in Steele County, so it's about 6 or 7 over there, the 100 that they charge, but that's based on parcels. They charge amount per parcel. So you guys have more parcels over here than Steele County, so your fee would be quite a bit higher at those same rates.
How was it done in the past? Was Barb just doing it on a independent basis? Was she was working outside of her position as the tax equalization director?
I believe-
And charging the counties independently.
The townships.
The townships, yeah. Would you prefer to do it that way?
Me?
Yeah.
No.
Oh.
Honestly, I would say no, because that's another thing on my list. We will run into at a point here. I don't have any applicants for the position. I had somebody, Brad Jacobson, call, but he never ended up applying. So at this point, I could do the assessing as part of the tax director position, but then we get into April 1st. I start over there, and the township meetings are the, city township 13th, 14th in there, and I wouldn't be here. I mean, I could make sure I have detailed documentation for them, but it becomes a situation where it's hard to explain why or how, or somebody has a question and I'm no longer here too.
Mm-hmm.
So, if you have someone a tax director who's gonna end up doing possibly, 6 or so or plus township assessing, did you still want to keep them at 3/5, or do you want to see if you can get somebody at a full time and do all of the assessing also?
Mm-hmm.
Those are just options I'm throwing out there for you guys.
Well, I mean, I think whatever we charge the townships or whatever we have to pay for the assessor to supply the townships with this assessor needs to be passed on to the townships. So whether that is on a per township basis that we make an additional payment to the equalization director, or if we just make it a full-time position and try to get a work to fill that in. Either way, it's an extra cost to the county,
Right.
but it's a township responsibility, so we have to be the conduit between the township and the assessor then. So we can't have the taxpayers of Griggs County, one township paying to have the other township assessed. It has to be on a equal basis. So however we do it, we just make sure that everything is equitable. So I don't know how that is. Maybe the way that Barb was doing it was equitable because the county wasn't being
paid by the townships.
Right. Directly to an independent assessor.
Just a thought too, moving forward, if the legislation or the legislative session goes as it is and that bill for the requirements for an assessor does pass through, you may be seeing a lot more townships without the assessors.
Mm-hmm.
You may have a lot more that wish or will have to have the county do it because they just won't have the qualifications, the number of hours of training. So that's a thought.
So what happens if we're not able to find a tax equalization director?
I don't have an answer for that. I mean, the reports and the duties will have to somehow, unfortunately get done. And I'm looking at Sam because everything tends to fall back on the auditor eventually, doesn't it?
Good gravy.
Well, the state seems to be inclined to tell us what to do, and even when we take an action, they want to reverse it. Why don't we just let them do it? We took action last year, and they turned around and said, no, you can't do it that way. So if that's the way it's going to be, why don't we just let them do it? They can't have it both ways. They want us to be independent, but then we're independent, and they say, no, you can't do it that way.
It's not just assessing. I mean, the tax director also does all the veterans credits and the seniors and all of, other stuff and such as that.
But ultimately, isn't this body responsible for approving or disapproving everything that the equalization director does? The director doesn't have any authority to do anything without the approval of the county commission.
To a point, I mean, you mean like
To a
the
100%,
veterans?
to 100% point.
Do you mean like the veterans and?
Everything has to be
instead of
approved through
notices?
this body.
Well, those are pretty standard. I mean, they could fill it out with the state and the state would send it to me.
But again, it still
And the
has to be
county gets
approved. It still has to be,
reimbursed for
no,
it.
but I
so-
mean, your actions, the equalization director's actions have to be approved by the county commissions.
Okay, if you'd like, I
Well, I mean, they
just
are, they
have a
are.
whole bunch of veterans in Homestead, so I can bring those and you can.
We do, don't we?
Yeah, I thought we already.
We always do.
Okay,
We do that
I've-
already.
never had that.
Doesn't
Or-
have to be that way, or?
Yeah, that's,
Not that I've been taught. Because the county's reimbursed for all of this by the
Right.
state. It in no way affects county money.
But all the homestead credits came through here,
Yeah.
And
No.
abatement,
Abatements.
or abatements.
if somebody doesn't file by the requirement of February 1st, that's pretty customary to bring abatements through. Depending on, if they're wanting 3 years back, sure. But if somebody comes to me with a form in May and we haven't done, our paperwork's not due to the state by then, it has no effect from February to May, then I would sign off on it.
That's the abatement form?
No, just the regular veteran or homestead credits. That's money that they get off of their tax bill.
We only have to approve if it goes back in time and we reimburse.
Correct.
Yeah.
The abatements.
Yeah.
The standard credits, I don't believe.
That just happens.
And if he's right, then I could very well be wrong. I've just never been taught that or heard that. I certainly can bring them up.
no,
There's a bunch
if
of them.
that's the way it's, I'm quite sure I probably read it wrong. Go ahead with the rest of it.
Anyway, so,
You wanna, as far as assessing, and that was kind of FYI, and you can think about, we can rediscuss at another meeting if you guys aren't ready to come up
I
with
think
amounts
so.
to charge or townships. See
Well,
if I
in
get
the-
a full
in the-
list, if the others contact me.
we will have to continue to look for somebody to do that position.
Okay.
And depending upon how that person would like to approach it, could change at that time. So I don't know if we need to make that decision right now. Right.
There's a provision in the Century Code to allow for a joint director of tax equalization. You can team up with other counties. And the county directors may also be city assessors or township assessors, so there's quite a bit of latitude here as far as how we go about this. I mean,
Is the,
preferably, we just talk Emily into staying on, but I don't know if we could do that.
as the qualifications for the assessor continue to change, due to state mandate. I wonder if there will be somebody that hangs their shingle out and does it for a business.
It's possible. I know that the assessor that Trail County has for a lot of theirs, she does, you know,
Private contract.
yeah, she does stuff on the side too. Steele County's hired her to do Golden Lake. I mean, I think she has her hands full right now after all that. But yeah, there are people who, maybe more, who would come out of the woodwork if that goes through. Well, I can ask Betty in Barnes County if they have anyone like that down there that maybe would be interested. Kind of
It
ask
seems like
Kara
if somebody
a
was
little
gonna
bit,
put, if somebody is gonna put that much effort into
becoming qualified
becoming
or staying
qualified, you'd
qualified.
think they'd wanna utilize that in more, I mean, more than just a few townships. But I mean,
Right.
that's just my thinking out loud.
I did talk to Farah Saxberg. She does quite a few too, and she was the city assessor. She's not doing Cooperstown anymore this year, so I thought maybe she would want to maybe pick up some townships, but she didn't seem too willing to jump at it quite yet. Maybe with a little more persuasion, but we'll see. So we'll just kind of leave that for now. You want us to just continue to re-advertise it
I
in
think
the
so.
paper?
So,
How many times have we advertised it so far?
It ran for 2 weeks, but it's not cheap to run stuff in that paper. You know, it was like $80 a week.
It
So
seems kind of pointless to keep on.
it's on the website. So
if you talk to the advertising gurus, they'll say a minimum of 3 times to reach
Okay,
any substantial percentage of the population.
so.
yeah,
But-
We paid for 2 times already?
2 weeks.
So I'd be in favor of one more time, but, geez, I don't want to run it all summer.
No,
Yeah.
but I think 2 times is,
Yeah, no,
not that it's hard to read that paper, but,
yeah. no.
you know, for $125, you can put in a statewide classified.
Mhm.
Maybe that would be, but, I mean, then you'd get Stutzman, Barnes, you'd get some of the neighboring counties, if somebody was interested in coming over. You know, we're only 20 townships,
Yeah.
so we're
Wanna
not
go that
really,
route?
huh?
So you guys want to go that route? Do the state?
A lot broader audience.
Then it would hit the Ag Week and the Green Sheets and most of the classifieds in most of the major newspapers. And I think even, I don't know if those reach the small county papers or not.
So just in that, not in our paper? Is that what you guys are thinking?
I would sure think so.
Yeah, we've advertised 2 weeks in our paper and make the next one in the state newspaper. Or the state, whatever that was.
Well, would it be advantageous to contact or to somehow get the word out to not even surrounding counties, but other counties in the state that we would be looking for a joint tax equalization director? That is a provision.
Connie?
I know the treasurers have an email address that goes to all the county treasurers. I'm sure assessors, or the tax directors maybe do,
Yeah.
so that something could be sent out to all the tax directors.
For the position or for doing joint tax director inquiries?
Yeah, whatever they want, just send out.
I I'm just thinking a tax director is not gonna wanna make, you know what I mean, they could maybe bring it to their board, but it'd be more of a board decision or discussion. The tax director would probably go, heck no.
But all of the counties are going to have their or their assessment meetings coming up, so at least if the tax directors around the area know, they could tell their assessors that coming up, I mean, it doesn't do us any good this year, but for next year, if there's some interested.
We could do that. I could put out there, you're looking for someone to do assessing for townships. If anyone wants extra work, to contact.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we're really talking about two different issues.
Mhm.
Why don't we do that
Yeah.
and then run another round of ads in the local paper and do one in the statewide and see if we get anybody that has any interest. If we're gonna do a joint tax director, if we want to pursue that, we probably need to do a little more homework and find out what other counties are doing and if that would be a fit for us, because it would be like Nelson Steel.
That would be an adjoining county,
You know, James, you know, like Barnes and Stutzman are bigger counties. Maybe they have a deputy or something that's part-time position or something. If they would want to, if we had a joint powers agreement, they might have an opportunity to have more full-time employment. I don't know. I mean, just those are things that we have to kind of research a little bit.
Okay.
Okay.
Farm exemption. Do you guys know anything about that, first off, before I go too much into it? Are you familiar with the farm exemption? No. It's for the farmers to get the exemption on their house. There's some qualifications, and they can't make over 40,000 off farm income. Century Code says that the form must be done yearly. I'm asking you guys if you want that done. Do you want me to send out the form and have them all fill it out to keep their exemption?
And this is for their house only.
Correct.
All agricultural buildings are, and it's.
Already exempt, right?
It's $40,000 or half of their income.
Right. Well, there's a number of, but the
You're
40,000 is usually what catches
Yeah.
people.
Yeah. It's fairly useless to require people to do it on a yearly basis, considering that we don't require any information other than the application to verify that the income is correct.
You could.
Only
That's-
if you require it of everybody. You
Of
cannot.
all the exemptions.
Right.
Right.
You can't do it on a per person basis. So we would have to require, if we require tax records for one person, we have to require tax records of it for every person that applies for the exemption.
Correct.
Yeah.
I've done that.
But that has to be a policy. That can't be in reaction to somebody being denied a exemption. So we would have to make it a policy that in order to qualify for the exemption, everybody would have to supply tax records verifying that exemption. We can't wait until after the fact and have somebody that wants an exemption and then require them to send in their tax records and then have them say, well, you didn't require everybody, and then we go back and say, okay, everybody has to send their tax record in. That can't happen. It has to be a policy before the fact. So because of that, we have to take everybody at their word. So there has to be, we either have to do it all one way or all the other way, because the way that it's been done prior to this has not been correct and left us wide open for a lawsuit.
I don't know how it's been done here prior.
Well, I was on the other side of it, so I don't know what was done prior.
I did it in Steele County, and the commission had a fit because it had never been done over there before. It's Century Code, and that's how the tax directors are taught, so that's how I did it. I did require everyone, so
You
it
have
was
to.
fair across the board.
That's correct.
But that's why I'm coming to you guys. Lesson learned.
But it has to be prior to the event. You can't say
Yep.
that.
I sent it out and
because I
they
didn't-
came
because-
in with their form and their information and I plugged it into the state,
Yeah.
20 question mathematical thing.
Mhm.
Says yes, you qualify or no, you don't.
Yeah.
So
So why wouldn't you do that?
Well, I can give you the historical reason why it hasn't been done. It's because in the past, the reason for this law in the past, back 100 years, was because agriculture was the mainstay of the county financially, and
Most of the legislators were farmers.
yeah. Well, again, I believe even though things have changed, there's still quite a risk involved in agriculture, and do we want to change what's been in existence for this long, and for what reason do we want to change it? Now, the question of fairness comes
But
up.
there's always been requirements. The fact that we're not enforcing the law doesn't make it right.
That's not exactly correct. You can require that the tax records be produced. It's basically the application is verification. It is the taxpayer's word that he falls within the requirements. So it is a gray line, and the way that we've been doing it is correct, except that we can't question anybody. Then
It's not. It might be correct, but it's not fair.
In what respect?
If you're willing to lie, you get the exemption. If you're not willing to lie, you don't.
Well, I assume that everybody applying for the exemption is telling the truth.
Really?
I do.
I think I smell another stinker.
Well, I mean, we've had it this way forever, and the time and energy involved in changing this is, as Emily can probably attest to, probably takes quite a bit of time to go through each one of those exemptions.
it does, but it's also my job. So
Yeah.
I mean, we can not do anything and not send them out at all. You can send out the form and just whoever is willing to sign off that they follow under those requirements, they get the exemption, or we can send it out and they have to bring in, every single one has to bring in their income tax information.
And up until this point, it's been done on the middle alternative there, where if they applied, that's the way it's been done in Griggs County.
You can,
I don't know if I've ever gotten a form in the mail. Maybe I have.
No, they don't send you a form in the mail. You have to request the form and then apply for the exemption.
so we can do that too. I mean, or
No,
you can
it's
post
our
it in the
choice,
paper.
If
you know.
you had it in the past.
Okay.
Yeah, if you've been exempt in the past, but not everybody was sent that.
And prior to her being the tax director, I don't think we got a farm ever. It was just the way it was. He just
And of course, the state is getting ready to probably do away with that, because now they want all farm residences at least assessed. So I assume that is in preparation for something.
There's always, there's
Yeah.
been talk of that since I started, yeah. Let me know how you guys want me to handle that, I guess.
So it's being done right now. In order to be exempt, you have to fill out the application and send it in prior to the next year of.
February 1st.
Yep.
Yeah, that's century code. You
Mhm.
fill out the form, it's the same with, veterans credits or homestead credits,
Yep.
farm exemption. So I can leave everyone that's on, or, I don't know how you guys want to handle that.
Well, things change.
They do?
I don't know why you wouldn't send them out the form just to verify that nothing has
Should they
changed.
still qualify?
I mean, how many farmsteads are exempt? I don't even know.
I apologize, I don't have that total of how many are exempt here.
And, you know, there's some exemptions to the exemption. So if you retire because of illness or age as being qualified exempt, then you're exempt you can be exempt for your lifetime. as long
Right,
as
retired farmer, that is an option for
Yeah,
them to
yeah.
check on the form as
Yeah.
well. Mhm. Or farm labor residents,
Yep.
farm laborers.
Yeah. And all agricultural buildings, no matter what the status of the farmer is, are still exempt. As long as their purpose is agriculture. So we're talking about the residents, and I think a lot of the farmers that retire start paying taxes on it, because on a yearly basis they're sent this form, and are you still farming? And I think a lot of them that have retired and aren't getting all their income from the farm.
I have no idea.
I mean, you hear about that, and being renting it out on shares still qualifies you as a farmer. Cash rent doesn't, correct?
If you're getting cash rent, goes
Sure.
into your,
Right. You don't
Income.
qualify for the exemption, but income from a sharecropping arrangement still qualifies you as a farmer.
depending,
Mhm.
I would say, you know, your other incomes or not.
And I'll say straight out, I'm not getting the exemption, so this doesn't have nothing to do with me.
I understand that, and I'm not getting the exemption either. But we both have agricultural interests, and they have the same risk as the guy down the street or down the road. So it's the government choosing winners and losers again. I just don't agree with it. I think that's an unfair.
Well, I'm not willing to change it. I think we should keep it the same as it's been, and if they want to apply for the exemption, I think we have to take them at their word that they're exempt. That's my opinion.
But the forms have been sent out annually prior. I don't ever remember getting one, but I suppose I've never been exempt.
If you're never exempt, you never got one.
So I think
Did you have to break the income threshold 3 years?
No, it's only 1 year, so you could of 3
One of
years.
the past three.
Yeah, of 3 years, you
One
only
of
have to be
3,
under the income 1 year. It's a fairly easy standard to meet. Well, creative commons. But anyway, that's the way it's always been. I don't see any need changing it. But we just have to be careful that we don't do what was done in the past and challenge one person and try to make them bring their records forward without requiring everybody, because that's putting us in a situation we don't want to be in.
Well, I think you should keep sending those things out
Okay.
annually to the people that are exempt, at the
Okay.
very least.
So I will send everyone that has the exemption the form to turn back in and just leave it at that. Okay.
I think having a small garden should qualify for exemption too.
Last
I
but
mean,
not
it's fund the
least,
government, huh?
Ron's favorite, right? Modifiers.
Yeah, right.
What do we want to do with modifiers for 2015?
I did get a quick handout for the last year. It's just, and what I did is I took the information that, and I apologize, and I don't have it,
It's okay.
but I just took all of the information that you sent us.
Okay.
And I listed the modifiers that other counties are using. For example, alkaline, 10 counties have that modifier. And some of them, these things are pretty loosely made, I guess.
They're
For,
whatever you want them to be.
yeah, like number 5 is bad drainage, and I never combined that with 42, which is poor drainage. And if I would have taken the time, those I'm sure are the same thing. But the ones with the G are the ones that Griggs County has. And the ones with the double G, that's the soil types, 800, 801, 802, 803, 4, and 5. Like marsh, I put a GG because we don't have that modifier. It's not technically a modifier, it's a soil type. So, and I haven't come to any great conclusion. Some of these just don't make much sense. Well, non-crop land or non-productive. I mean, I don't know what they even mean by some of these. And some of those number 11 classification correction, number 1 for a modifier. There are probably not too many in there that are worth having. The ones we've got, let's see, like I say, they cover most of them. We got alkaline, erosion, irregular fields, inaccessibility, stream overflow, rock salinity, and wet and dab drainage. And that does cover most of them. But if somebody in there, if you go through that, if you see some that it looks like we should have, like severed areas, to me, number 46, that would probably be the same thing as inaccessibility, as far as I know.
Yeah, the one I think we should have is pasture.
Well, that's not a modifier. That should be by usage. The usage should be cropland or non-cropland. But
It should be, but they won't allow it. So let's make it a modifier. If we're trying to achieve the same thing, that you don't pay as much on that pasture land as you do in the cropland, what does it matter how we get there?
I would just say keep in mind also that modifiers are only as good as what they're used for. You have 2 townships who decide to use it. Is that gonna solve what you're saying? You know, see where I'm getting at? If you only have 2 townships who are gonna change and use your new pasture modifier, does that make it
well,
equitable across the county? Is it worth having it?
because one question on that, and I'm just looking at the NDSU figures, but NDSU says that in Griggs County, there's 46,800 acres of non-cropland.
Yeah.
And it has a true and full value of this 7.1 million. And the cropland, there's 340,000 acres that has a true and full value of 269. Can't we say that those are to be allocated separately? Cropland is to be allocated up to the $7 million, non-cropland, and cropland, I know you're smiling, but, and cropland up to the 269 million. It seems like the county commissioners should have the authority to say, we want those done separately, and we want to use these NDSU numbers. We want to see that there is 46,800 acres of non-cropland, and the aggregate true and full value is $7.1 million. I think we're within our rights if we demand that.
You're correct, but they won't let us do it. So, but we have a method to do it. Let's just give the cropland. Let's make pasture a modifier, and make it known that anybody that has pasture can use that as a modifier, and then we can set the price on it.
It would probably work the same way. It's just kind of the principle. That,
I know the principle.
That we can't. That we have the right to say we want the cropland and non-cropland done separately, and we should fight for that right. I know you have already.
But you're not fighting with me.
So why should we fight with them if we can achieve the same thing? If we can value that pasture land to go to those values that you just listed without giving the state the chance to tell us we can't. And so far the modifiers have been they haven't challenged those to any extent. So let's give it a modifier of pasture. Let's say that cropland is valued at $856 an acre, I think is what the figure for Griggs County was, and pasture land was $150 an acre. Let's give the pasture a modifier of 70%. Mm-hmm. That will take it down to $156 an acre, and that was the modifier, and then it doesn't take into account use or anything. It's pasture,
Yeah.
And then let them fight with us there then we're using your own rules to fight with them.
Yeah, well, I'd still like to. I really think we should.
I'm fine with it.
We have the right to say there's 46,800 acres of cropland. NDSU gave us those figures. They gave us the value. That's what the true and full value has to be based on. And I think we could pass a resolution saying that we direct the tax equalization director to do it this way.
You could direct me to do it that way. It doesn't mean they're not gonna come back and
Well,
change it, and they
no, I
have.
don't see how they.
And keep in mind, if we do lower.
Well, they did this year.
How many,
Well, not-
hundreds
but that
of
wasn't on this-
acres
that
down
wasn't on
to
this
the
issue.
150 pasture land, that is gonna increase your cropland.
I know, but
Is your-
isn't that the whole purpose of tax equalization?
Okay, I'm
Yeah, I
just
mean, if we-
reminding everyone that will make your cropland.
But that's the
significant.
purpose of tax equalization is that we have to equalize it. I mean, if it is pasture land, then it shouldn't be paying cropland prices for it, taxes for it.
Yeah, this non-cropland, the way we're doing it now, the non-cropland guys are getting screwed.
It's a net zero sum game though.
Well, but
That's what she's trying to tell you. So if I take, or better yet, if Dale's got one of the best quarters in Griggs County, if he plants that to grass and it comes off the tax rolls as tillable acres, even though the productivity is 95, and he doesn't care, he's gonna plant it to grass and raise it, then everybody else in the county's cropland is gonna go up accordingly. That's not equal.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not.
It is too. You have the right.
No, it isn't.
You have the
Because
right
the-
to use your property as you are able to use it,
Yep.
not by what some outside force says you're able to do. Maybe Dale is not capable of financing the equipment to farm it. Maybe Dale's not capable of the expertise to farm it. Maybe he's only capable of growing grass on it. We cannot make him do something that he doesn't want to do in order to derive a fee from that. That is not.
But
That-
the return on that might be higher as grass than it is with cropland. Why should the taxes go down? He will increase his income by making that decision. Why should that particular property have its true and full value cut in half based on use instead of the quality of the land?
Because we base the true and full value dependent on the crop it comes off of. The
No, we're
value.
not.
Yes,
We're
we do.
basing it on soil types. That's why they went to soil types.
But the soil types then take into account how many bushels and what price. And that's how we base the true and full value. If the
And-
soil type will produce
and-
40 bushel wheat, and then we use the price
That's
at
what
$4.
NDSU uses all that information to come up with each county's
Right.
yearly.
That quarter of land will produce more grass than my clay hills.
Then
So-
let the state put that into the whole equation and let us have an equation to verify that. We're only assuming that right now.
No, I know that. You are unequalizing the taxes by doing that. You're not equalizing them.
Mm-mm.
Yes.
no, I disagree.
I don't
Well,
know.
that's-
It's totally wrong. A piece of pasture land does not have to pay the same tax as a piece of cropland.
Depends on what the soil types are.
No, it doesn't.
It certainly does, because the productivity of the land is different.
But NDSU is saying that there's 46,000 acres of pasture land and rangeland. And they're not going by the soil types.
No.
They're saying that's how many acres of pasture land and rangeland is in Griggs.
But that's not how the land is taxed. The land is taxed by soil type.
It's adjusted by soil type. But it's taxed by these numbers that you come up with, or that NDSU comes up with. NDSU comes up and says Griggs County is gonna be taxed, the agricultural land is gonna be valued at $291 million. From there, Griggs County can adjust it by modifiers and soil types.
But it's a net zero sum game.
It is, but it's being more fair to the people that, right now, the people with rangeland and pasture land are paying too much taxes in my opinion, and they should be just based on their usage.
Grass is the best cash crop in North Dakota
That's
right
not
now.
showing up on the NDSU figures.
No, because NDSU classifies pasture land at $156 an acre, classifies cropland at $856 an acre in Griggs County. Those figures are based on productivity. So they're based on productivity and not soil, and the soil productivity is just one of the parts to determine overall financial productivity. So no one makes the statement that it is just as productive cropland versus pasture land. Everybody realizes that it is not, but we're taxing it as if it was. And there's no information, there's no figures anywhere that justify the same taxable value for a piece of pasture land compared to a piece of cropland. And you might very well be correct that it does earn the same, but then we have to have a system in place that can quantify that. And there's no system in place to quantify that.
Well, they did the best they could.
No, they didn't. They did the absolutely worst they could. They did away with a system that used to take that into account, where we had the township assessor sit down across a table with an individual landowner and discuss the use and the value of each piece of property. And they did away with that because they wanted more control so that they could then in turn regulate the amount of tax paid throughout the state. And it's plain and simple, that's why it was done. And as it plays out, that's why it was done. Look what happened to us. We tried to adjust our values and they said, no, you can't adjust your values.
We were gonna adjust the overall value of the county, or not adjust the overall value of the county. That's not the same as
Keep going.
playing the shell game.
Yes, it
No,
is.
it's not.
Okay. All right. I've got a quarter of a section of land, and I've got 1/4 of pasture. And let's just say for simplicity's sake, I'm paying $400 on those 4 quarters. What does it matter now if I take the 1/4 down at the pasture and I take it down to $50 and it raises the other ones up? I'm still paying the $400 on the same section of land. It's split up amongst the different soil types. So the only people that are going to get any, somebody that has strictly farmland, yes, the farmland prices would go up a little bit. Someone that has a combination of it, that increase would get spread amongst their tillable land also. So it makes it equitable. That's what tax equalization is all about.
I don't know if it makes it equitable more than it is now.
Well, no, I just think we should use the NDSU figures. They're the experts. They came up with these numbers, and I think we should use them.
That's not how it's done.
No.
But I think we should.
They won't let us, so the state will come in and say, no, we can do it by classifying, putting a modifier as pasture and giving it a 70% deduction, that will do it.
Well, as long as the total, true and full value comes up to the 264 million, the state's okay with that.
They'll raise it though.
But NDSU comes up with that number. I think from the last numbers you gave me, the NDSU says that Griggs County is going to be valued at 291 million. And we're not disputing that.
I don't think I sent you their whole calculations for this year, did I? I think I just sent you their first cover letter, that one, right?
Yeah.
Of what we should be at. If you want the rest that they came up with for this year, all those,
Well, yeah,
I can give that to
you
you.
gave us $158 for non-crop land and $841 for crop land. And I just plugged those into the old acres that we used for last year. And that comes up to $291 million. And I don't think anybody's disputing the 291 million. I think NDSU is correct on the 291 million. It's just that the allocation should be that of that 291 million, 7 million is for pasture land, and the other, whatever the heck it is, 286 million is for crop land. That's what they say, and that's the way it should be.
Mm-hmm. Well, we're arguing the same thing. We just need to allocate the land according to its actual
Yeah,
use.
I agree a modifier would work,
Right.
but I'd rather fight them on the damn, that they don't have the right to tell us that we can't do it. Divide it into cropland and non-cropland, even though they've told you before, I know you said.
But they already showed us, they already told us we have the right and then showed us we didn't have the right when they raised the taxes the
Well,
last
that
time.
that wasn't between cropland and non-cropland, that was just on the overall.
But that's the same thing that'll happen.
Well, maybe, but maybe not.
Well, I mean, if we come below the 90%, they're gonna raise the taxes
No, I'm
up
not,
to the.
yeah, I'm not saying we should come in below the 90%. We gotta come in above that 90%. But we should use the division of cropland and non-cropland that NDSU gives us, and then come up in at the 90.
But that's a moving target anyway. Cropland, non-cropland. That's not a static number necessarily.
Well, it's calculated by NDSU every year.
It's an annual number.
Yeah.
So you want to change it every year.
Well, we do now. I mean, that's where your new number came from right here.
Right.
$158 for non-cropland, $841 for cropland. That's every year we get that from NDSU. And I say we should use those numbers. Instead of just using what I believe you do, you just use the aggregate number
I
from.
use the numbers that they've given us for
Right.
cropland and
Yeah.
non-cropland, and it goes into the
Yeah.
formula
Yeah.
that we sat down and went over.
Yeah, but the cropland isn't, you don't make sure, you couldn't say that there's 46,800 acres of cropland in Griggs County, it's being taxed that way.
No.
Not off the top of my head, I sure couldn't.
But I mean, I don't
think
think your program could do it.
I would have to.
You
check.
could,
It's-
you could maybe add up all these different NC things, but I doubt very much if that's gonna come up to 46,800. It'd be an easy check for you, but.
Mhm.
But the point is, we have a lot of pasture land that's being taxed as if it was cropland throughout Griggs County, and that's not correct.
You don't think the NC designator that was come up with previously to lower that soil type, you don't think that's
Well,
doing
what percentage?
its job?
What percentage, what non-crop, what percentage does that drop it down to?
Each soil type on there that has a cropland productivity index had the non-cropland designation as well to drop it to the lower rate.
Understood.
And that was an option for them to use
Yeah,
for certain areas. And again, these are only as good as, you know, which townships decide to use any of it.
Yeah,
So
I don't think it's enough. I agree with NDSU figures that non-cropland should have, it has a value of $158 an acre, and cropland has a value of $841 an acre. And I don't think these numbers here reflect that.
If non-crop is a modifier, it has to be designated that way on the FSA map.
that was a previous, I guess, rule that, or stipulation that they had. And this,
154 of 841.
we could have a
Okay,
soil
so-
committee maybe.
so- $154 per acre is 18.31% of $841 an acre, so the modifier would have to be 82% in order to make it equitable.
And it's not.
It's not. No. What aggravates Ron, and it should aggravate everybody, is the formulas and the rules that the state puts forth. They only use when it's to their advantage, and they don't allow when it disproves what they're trying to do. And that's what's disgusting about this, and that's the whole purpose of equalization, is to have a standardization so that any piece of land can be plugged in, and you will be paying accordingly with any other taxpayer. And
According to what?
according to the standards that they put forth. Again, this is all based, this whole thing was fleshed out, and it's supposed to be modified by each individual county in order to make it equitable. That's what the whole equalization is about. We've never done that. We've just taken the basic standards up here, and we've never brought it into so that Griggs County is equalized.
What's equal?
Well,
In your mind, what's equal?
Equal is based on use. Dollar value based on use.
So the crop, really what's wrong then is pasture needs to be taxed way more than it is.
No, NDSU already did the calculation, and based on productivity, they say that pasture land is worth 18.3% of cropland. And that's already said and done. The
Based
problem-
on what? What factors?
Well, they look at animal grazing units.
Yeah.
And they assign so many animal grazing units to pasture land and a slightly smaller number to rangeland.
Mhm.
And then they convert that animal grazing units into dollars.
How?
They have a cattle price that they put in there, and there's another price, and then there's the cost of productivity that goes in there. But they have the formula. They do it correctly according to their formula. Maybe
I'm sure it is correct according to their formula, Ron. That doesn't make it correct.
But Troy, they do the same thing. They use the same formula for determining the price of the cropland. They use the crops, the productivity. It's all done the same. It's just
they'll assign
it's just two different
$8
commodities. Cattle are a commodity, wheat's a commodity. It all flows through the same way, and they end up with the end figure. The end figure is that cropland is 82% more productive than grass. And that's what Ron's talking about. The figures are already there. It's just we're not allowing the taxpayer to take advantage of the figures that are already there. We're not trying to change the system. We're trying to make Griggs County fall within the parameters so the taxpayer can take advantage of the system.
Yeah, I think we should.
Some taxpayers can take advantage of the system.
Well,
It'll be, the farmers that own this 46,800 acres will start being taxed the correct value according to NDSU. If somebody wants to dispute that NDSU calculated it all wrong, that's totally another issue. But I'm assuming that NDSU calculated it correctly, and we should use NDSU.
So you think the production of every acre of non-crop is the same if it's in rangeland?
No.
There's no difference.
No.
That's what you're saying.
No, it's still, for both cropland and non-cropland, it still has to be adjusted by modifiers and soil type. But the aggregate value of the non-croplands should be $7 million. And then it's adjusted up and down, each parcel is adjusted up and down by soil type, but it doesn't come over the 7 million. The total value of all that 46,800 acres is 7.1 million.
So
Even though some will go up and some will go down.
basically you're wanting to, if you look at it, drop your cut point of cropland, soil, and non-cropland lower to say
No.
30 for a production index for
No,
that soil
no.
type. If that comes out to be your final number.
But this,
If everything below 30 comes to your,
but that would have nothing to do with actual usage. You're just making that threshold. You don't know if it's cropland or non-cropland. I'm saying.
no, I'm going by the soil type,
But
as long as
But
it,
a soil type could be low, and it could be cropland or non-cropland. A soil type could be above the threshold, and it also could be cropland or non-cropland.
Mhm. There's some counties that use the use method of the land rather than the productivity method. Again, this was just a basic guideline it's never been fleshed out. But Troy, to your answer, the question is just the same as all cropland isn't worth $841 an acre in Griggs County. Neither is all pasture land worth $156 an acre. It was just an aggregate figure.
Yeah, that's the soil types and modifiers apply to every parcel to bring it up or down, so that non-cropland is going to have quite a variance from this $158, and the same with cropland. Some of it might be
on the
worth $1,200
productivity
an acre.
index.
Yeah,
It'll
some
go
of
up
it
and higher
comes
or
up.
lower than the 158.
Well, yeah, it might vary from 50 to 300. I'm not sure what the numbers are, it varies, but it would vary tremendously. But its actual use is not, its total value is 7.1 million, no matter how you adjust it with profit.
Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out how you would adjust it.
With the
what you were
modifiers,
saying.
with the modifiers and soil types, I would adjust it so that it comes to 7.1 million, but some parcels are at 250 an acre and some are at 50 an acre. But the formula that you have makes it come out to 7.1 million for non-cropland. And that's kind of what you do now.
Which is what I was saying. It would come down to what I was
Yeah,
saying then.
you've got the
Pretty
formula that does that
close.
now, but it does it with the cropland and non-cropland together. You plug in that big formula with the threshold, and it comes out that way. And I'm just saying that we should use the actual usage.
We've cut, I believe it's 50 is the productivity number, where currently it changes from cropland to the
Yeah.
non-cropland.
Yeah, I think that's right. Everything with
Where I use the
productivity.
non-cropland number in the
Everything with the
calculation.
productivity.
So you could change that, is what I was saying.
Yeah. But it's not the best way to do it.
No, that would be a horrible way of doing it, because then you could conceivably have cropland being taxed as pasture land, just the same way now we have pasture land taxed as cropland. It's gotta be dependent on use.
You would lower the
Productivity.
cropland
Right.
productivity, so
Okay.
you would have maybe a 40 productivity still being as cropland, is how that would have to work.
But
But again,
It would be self-regulating
You guys tell
if you
me.
did it by, if you did it by giving a pasture as a, what do we call it? A modifier? Here's a scenario. Say you gave pasture a modifier, and let's use your 7.1 million. You gave pasture a modifier, and that modified it, let's just say 50%. So now you have that pasture land theoretically only worth $400 an acre, taxed at $400 an acre. You get to the end of the year, the state would say, well, now you guys have dropped below your 90% as far as what the county's worth, and it's dropped down to 80%. They would prescribe a percentage increase across the board for all lands in Griggs County, which would raise the pasture land with the modifiers intact, and it would raise the cropland, thusly making things equitable. We just started out at a lower figure. So adjusting the modifier would do the same thing without all the work. The state would come in and give us a percentage increase, and we would have adjusted accordingly. And only the people that wanted to participate would participate. The rest of it would stay where it's at.
yeah, I agree you could come up with the same numbers, but it's just,
Well, you wouldn't, because not everybody would participate, and that's the fault. That's the problem with our system. We make people come forward and prove their innocence rather than. But again, we're not going to solve the whole thing here, and we can't overhaul it because we don't have the ability to overhaul it. But we could give the ability to have a 20 or 30% for rocks, and we could up the percentages and all this stuff to be more uniform, and we could add a few more modifiers and give people the opportunity then at least to have a fighting chance.
on the modifiers, I'd like to see them between 0 and 100%. If a piece of soil has completely alkaline and even weeds don't grow on it, why wouldn't it have a 100% modifier? It's worthless. You can't even grow a weed on it.
well, that's probably going to be reflected somewhat within the soils, no? Already?
No, right now, you're only allowed to modify it up to 30% in Griggs County. We should change that and allow these modifiers to be up to 100% for any of the modifiers. If you can't grow anything.
Set them however you want, and I can
Yeah,
turn them into the
'cause it's
state,
supposed to
and they'll tell you yes or no.
It's supposed to be based on the capitalized average annual growth return of the land.
That's right.
If it returns 0, obviously it doesn't have a value. But,
You got to quit arguing facts, or it makes the state mad.
I'm not the state,
No,
so
I'm
don't
not.
argue with me either.
I'm not talking about you.
Doing my job.
I'm not talking about you, but don't you see the hypocrisy in this? They use figures in order to, when it's in their favor, and when the figures are not in their favor, they disregard them. And how in the world is a taxpayer supposed to get an equal shake when that keeps happening? And we have all kinds of people, and the pasture is the biggest one, where people are being taxed as if it's $850 an acre cropland when it's not capable of producing that. We have to give them a way, at least, of making that a little bit more equitable. And how we do that, to me, is the easiest way is to give it a modifier as a start.
yeah, well, there's probably 2 or 3 things that we have to decide. One of them, I think, whatever modifiers we come up with, I think that we should be able to go up to 100%. And I think other counties are doing that. That if you've got totally worthless soil, you can go to 100% modified.
I didn't
Well, not
see
on
any
rocks
in
and
that
things like
packet
that.
that were 100%. I may have missed one.
Well, I
though.
thought-
Did you find one that was
I thought,
100?
yeah, I thought, well, this one right here says 10% stamp base up to 90%. And that's for alkaline.
Yeah.
Why they stopped at 90%, I don't know.
Oh,
But, and some of them have a minimum acreage, like if it's gotta be a parcel that's at least 10 acres. I don't think we should have that
well,
either.
those
If it's,
are things you guys can decide.
yeah, I'd like to get rid of the
So-
minimum acreage. That whatever you wanna modify, no matter how small it is, you can apply to have something modified, no matter what its size is. And you
Is
can
it-
apply for up to 100% on it.
Okay.
That's my opinion.
Well, I
I think you can make this complicated enough that we'd have to have 6 people in that office instead of
I was gonna
2/3
say,
of
if
the
I'm
person.
modifying
And then you'd
1
be happy?
acre for every parcel,
complicated.
that's
Yes, it is. It takes
No.
time to do all that stuff, Ron. That's
No,
why
it will.
there's minimum acreages. And if really, if you
Well-
have a piece of land that's not very productive, maybe you should tile it. Maybe you should improve it. Maybe you should do something for yourself. The government,
No.
well, yeah.
No. You cannot force someone to conform to a certain set of standards just so that you can extract a tax from them.
No.
Again, I'll use the bank building I bought in Binford. When the bank was operating as a bank, it was taxed as a bank. When I bought it, I converted it over to a storage building. It's by use. You cannot force someone to
The
try to use
taxes, the
somebody.
taxes on that building were almost nothing then.
It doesn't
They're
matter.
almost nothing now. I don't bet you they didn't change very much.
It's based on use, though. Again, I'll use the example. We can't make someone try to be a farmer if they don't have the expertise.
Based on
or
value, not based on
expertise-
worth.
Expertise or financial ability to be a farmer.
So if somebody.
You know what
buys
the
a-
taxes were on that building?
I'd have to look, I don't know.
No, I
Whether or
bet
not.
you they were $300.
So say somebody buys a parcel and they're just gonna use it for hunting, so they get no income off it, so they shouldn't pay any taxes on it, because they don't do anything.
That,
They should pay the taxes on it that the hunting income brings to that piece of
But
property.
if they don't make any income,
Which is
they
zero.
just use it for themselves.
If it's non-crop land,
It does.
It's valued at the non-crop land price.
Well, what we're saying is, your point is valid,
I'm
except the
all done with
regulations
this
put forward they don't obey their own
I'm gonna be done really
regulations.
fast. You guys are gonna be sorry, but
Okay.
But the chairman has his power, right?
it does. Obviously, you guys need to think about this some more, so you come around to my way of thinking.
Do you want to reschedule for the next meeting? So you guys
Sounds
can
like
think
it's
about
gonna
that
be
a
more
little
than-
bit.
Sounds like it's gonna be more than one meeting.
Well, we do need to try, hopefully by the next meeting, if that's where we're gonna go, make a decision.
If Troy's gonna think about it long enough to
This
catch
year,
up.
yes.
If Troy's gonna think about it long enough to catch up with how much Ron has thought about this, we better schedule it for next year.
He does have a good point though.
For years. You went to the state capitol and argued.
I know, you could break this down to a square foot basis if you wanted to.
No. And ag land does take a lot of time. If I start modifying everything with 1 acre and different modifiers, it will be very, very time consuming. Or not me, I shouldn't say me because I'm not gonna be
How
here at
long
that
does it take to
point,
type
but
a 1 into a computer?
it's not that. You have to go to the specific soil type, you have to type
But for a
the modifier, you
it's
have
1
to type
acre,
the eight.
10%.
But the system doesn't work that
Well,
way.
it
You
should.
have different, well, everything should work the easiest way possible, but it does work. Anyway, I don't care. I just realized, you know what, I'm not gonna be. Just kidding.
Yeah.
Well, do you want to table it till the next one and think about it, or how do we want to?
We don't have a motion on the table.
Yeah, one number I was gonna throw out just before we tabled everything, but when I plugged in your new numbers, I came up, well, those new numbers, I came up with 291 million. And right now, the true to full value is 264 million.
Yeah.
And that comes out to like 89.87%. So we are real close to that, our 90%, I believe. These numbers are gonna change, I know.
Yeah.
But I think right now the state, well, if we increased it $400, we'd be over our 90%. So I don't think the state is gonna force us to increase it nearly as much as last year.
Let me look at the numbers. I took the sheet from last year, like, that they sent out like that. I took our number that we ended up with after they made us do the increase and the number for this year. And to keep in compliance with the 90%, I think I was right around 5% increase is what I came up with for this year. But that's something that can wait all the way till June again. That
Yeah,
just
I
I was
really
giving
don't
it to you guys as an FYI as what they came out with for 2015.
Yeah, no, I just plugged in your numbers on the acreage, on their acreage numbers. It comes out to 291 million, so
Right.
you'll have to show me where I did it wrong, I guess. Because I believe the 291 million is right. and
I'll
that's-
get the full sheet of what they've sent for this time.
And of course,
For
they
you.
don't bring you right up to the 90%. They want to take you over that, so there's some room for.
And they did last
Yeah.
year. They brought us over 90%.
And they'd preferably like to take it to 95%, is where they like to have it.
That's what they'd like at least.
Yeah, so there's room.
Okay. So next meeting, we will decide modifiers.
Okay.
Or talk about it.
Okay. We should decide. We should have something. I
Well,
need to
sooner or
send
later,
you
we'll
to the
just have,
state.
we'll have a vote and we'll decide.
Yeah. Right, that's all I, thank goodness, that's all I have for you, huh?
Thanks, Emily.
Thank you.
Thank you, Emily.
Thank you.
We'll talk taxes about water.
Running down the river.
Yeah, I mean, religion.
I move we take a 10-minute break.
Sounds good. We move by Ron, we take a 10-minute break. Is there a second to the motion? Seconded by Sean, all in favor. Motion passes. It was unanimous. Bob's getting a little antsy too. I didn't want to say anything.
Well, you don't have the ability to.
That's true. That's a set year's day.
One of the downfalls of being a chairman.
That put you to sleep?
Surprise me? How about that?
They're way ahead of schedule, I've been over an hour.
I thought I was gonna give you one, you guys are gonna be done.
Wasn't that cell type thing driven by landowners?
What's that?
Did that cell type thing kind of come out landowner driven?
I think it was more equal across the whole state, but it doesn't solve the problems
No.
within each county, and I don't think they are solvable.
No, they're not.
No, I think the state did a pretty good job of screwing it up.
It's, they beat you with the same stick in every county now instead of a different length one in each county. So it's, it's, I know when it went that way, our property taxes went up quite a bit on our pasture land. Because it's evidently good soil, just too steep to ride a horse up. So.
Yeah. You can just plow downhill.
Yeah.
You're glad you came over.
Yeah. I left training to come here to y'all in Bismarck down there.
Oh, shoot.
Well, I'll catch it again, I guess.
You're gonna notarize it?
What?
You'll notarize it?
Yep.
Hey, can I sign right now in front of you?
Sure.
No, give it to you. And you can do your thing with it. You want quicker?
Thank you.
Have to either, but
I'd like to see a collection agency that would take that.
yeah. That would be interesting. I like to, well, I can't remember if I said it in color. See, that paragraph was underlined on the I can't remember if I said that weird. I just thought, okay, this is a good one, good. I think that was the- Yeah. That should be good. Yeah, that was on there. Because it's very important for us to know.
What, James?
City sign it?
Good. James.
Yeah, that's a new one.
James. Sign that sheet, take it right now.
Exciting stuff, boy.
Yeah, notarize it.
I don't know about that.
You managed to keep awake so far.
I have actually complete, absolutely 100% awake.
Good.
Thank you, dear.
And you can back again. Did you see this?
Every time he gets something from us, we get another letter.
Is that Richard Sutcliffe the man or the Anthony?
I don't know. The myth or the legend.
He hasn't come in a long time. I like when he shows up.
I don't. Bills, it was this one, and this one that got, those were the only four that got taken off.
Yep.
I had to take those four off.
Okay.
Thank you.
What's this deal?
That one's the vehicle loan, and that's the city policing
Was
contract.
that on here?
No, I decided to set it up there and
He
get it
just
free.
set that up for you.
How come you don't have a signature on this thing, Bob?
On that? Never, there never was one on there. I'm sure you could, if you want one.
The reason that I asked that is because I thought I heard at one time that call the meeting to order. Next thing on the agenda is the police services contract. And I just asked, I don't know if you were in here yet, John. I asked Bob if there's a signature line on here for him, because doesn't the sheriff's department have to approve this before, I mean, don't you have to?
In the past, the contract was based on the money that went between the two entities. My day-to-day performance is handled on a case-by-case basis or as written in there, and if there's issues, they come to me at a regular meeting and we make those operational changes.
And Jamie saw this?
Yeah, have you seen the contract for the police contract?
Yeah, I saw it before you sent it to them.
Yeah, there's a couple changes they made to it with just some numbers where they're listed. Like one was, Phyllis made a change, it was commenced in 2001, renewed successive time, and to be renewed again. Instead of before, it just said commenced 2014, renewed. They had that, and then a couple other minor word changes to it. But the basic exact same form we looked at before.
Okay.
And then they added a signature line for the city attorney to test the form of the contract format.
So you're good with that?
I'm good with it.
I'm good with it.
Prove it. Prove it, I said.
Oh.
I'll make a motion, we sign the police services contract with the city.
Been moved by Sean to accept the police services contract with the city. Is there a second to the motion?
Second.
Seconded by Dale. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. John?
Aye.
Dale?
Aye.
Ron?
Aye.
Sean?
Aye.
Troy votes aye. Motion carries. Who's the city attorney?
Phyllis.
Oh,
Okay. That's changed over time in the last few years, so I never really know who's turning.
I have a voucher here that Bob put on my desk when we were on break. Was this, well, this was due on the 6th. I suppose you got 10 days of grace. This was for that loan on that Ford, what's my?
Explorer, Interceptor, police car.
Interceptor. The amount due on that is $6,823.65.
Did we put that in the budget for?
No, it wasn't.
This came out of emergency.
Yeah, I got it New Year's Eve like at 3 o'clock. We took a loan off from Citizens Bank.
Right. So we should have done is budgeted to pay it off, but we didn't. Because it came out of emergency to begin with, and it should have been put into,
Yeah, it should have been put into the budget for 15 for the payment. I mean, it's not really quick to do that.
the way it's split out right here, Bob has some of it coming out of 4 different accounts. One of them is major equipment, training and equipment, repairs and maintenance, and permit for vehicles on the roads. I don't know what that is.
That's the only way.
Is this paid off? Is this paid off then?
Yep.
Yeah.
And I guess, I never even dawned on me, because I don't have any paperwork for that loan. It all came to the county. Usually that went to the sheriff's office. This was a little bit different this time. And we could have probably dealt with it in December, but
Principal balance is $6,610.02, and there's the balance between that and 60,823 is interest accrued.
So we just need to authorize, or it can be paid over your budget then.
right, yep.
I mean, I guess it'll just come as a bill and we just have to approve it when it comes.
Oh, it's here.
Mhm.
we'll be within the 10-day grace period, so.
I make a motion that Bob pay the, who's it
Citizen
to?
State Bank.
Citizen State Bank loan for the patrol car, out of his existing budget.
Is there a second to the motion?
I'd second.
Seconded by Dale. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. John?
Aye.
Dale?
Aye.
Ron?
Aye.
Sean?
Aye.
Troy votes aye. Motion carries. This needs to go with the auditor.
Yep, just as usual.
Okay. Anything else, Bob?
I just got two quick things. I got an email today from the cops grant. I need to submit them a declining notice, they call it, for the cops grant. And one of the things on there is they just want, I'm supposed to give them a detailed, they're requesting I give them a detailed reason as to why they call me declining the grant. So I just, what do you guys want to write on there? You're declining, I'm not.
Yeah,
Well-
I got your text message, but I was cruising down the road
Yeah.
when I got it, so.
If I remember correctly, we can go back and look at the minutes, but when you decided, you asked us if you could apply for this grant, and I think we said yes,
Yep.
as long as we're not obligated to accept it.
Right, you're not.
Okay, so I don't think that requires an explanation. It came before a vote of the commission, and they didn't even.
It died for lack of a second is
Yeah.
the reason why it was declined. And I don't know what else they want to know.
That's fine, I just want to know what you guys want, it's your guys' form, I'm returning back to them, so whatever you want, I'll put it on there. It doesn't matter to me, it's done.
I mean, if I would have known that this required, if this required an explanation for turning it down, I would have voted to even put the application in.
Well, they're not requiring us to do an explanation, they're asking for one, I suppose it's for future, statistics and.
Died for lack of a second.
Okay. Is that the official?
That sounds reasonable.
Okay.
That's what's in the minutes, I believe.
Yeah.
Okay. The last thing, I hired that deputy, Daniel Roseworth from Foster County. 9 years experience, did a background on her, all the parties worked with her, we worked with her, she's been awesome.
Daniel Rosenau?
Roseworth.
Warren, oh, okay.
She grew up southwest of Backville. She intends to live in the Binford area. Wants to live in Binford once the house opens up, maybe in April. So I'll bring her up. You guys want to meet her up here up next meeting? Introduce her. They're in training right now. I left there to come here. So she's level-headed and will not cause us any issues.
She's already started or will start or?
She started. Yeah.
People have been asking me, and
Yeah. Well, ever since it came out, we hadn't even opened up the jobs yet. People said she was coming over here, and John got into that too. So anyway, that's that. Been
I
processed.
think I heard that in Harrington before you.
Oh, God.
Put up the position.
Well, I heard it before anything.
One of the county commissioners called me and they tried to hire her, and she told them that she had a job in Griggs County. And that came from her mouth to the county commissioner's mouth to my ear. So whether she dreamt that up or she had a job here, I don't know. But that was what happened.
Well, I can assure you, she did not tell the commissioner that she had a job here.
Well, I can only believe what the commissioner told me, and he called me and he wasn't happy.
Yeah. That man's learned a lot of things. That's all I have.
Do we have an extra vehicle to sell now?
Oh, we will have. Come spring probably, and you have to get rid of one of them. Trying to decide what to do there.
I don't know.
Was the old Impel?
Yeah, that
in
Impel.
worse shape?
That pallet probably needs to go.
Yeah.
And she didn't use that for a couple of weeks. I've got something draining the battery in the truck. I think it might be the old Astro start might be causing some battery issues there. So we're gonna check that out. Yeah, she wants to ride the truck. Yeah, she'd prefer that.
How do we do on the heat sensing equipment to get to the fire department?
Sitting in the basement, they were supposed to come pick it up. No one showed up. I talked to Jason Gerber. He said he's weeks away from needing it at the soonest. So
Okay.
I don't know.
Well,
Too many chiefs involved there, I guess.
Well, it's not a big deal. If it was just delivered to them when we were supposed to a year ago, it wouldn't have been a big deal.
Yeah, they haven't needed it till now, so no one out before it. Okay,
All right.
anything else?
No, thanks, Bob.
Thanks, Bob.
Next thing I-
Contract.
Yeah, we asking you where it's at again.
You don't want that to leave your hands.
What's that?
I said, you said you don't want that to leave your hands.
Doesn't matter.
Sign is invisible.
Next thing I have on here is Betty. Apparently, her and Jill, and of course, we've gone through this before, had talked about, probationary raise, and of course, Jill resigned prior to that event occurring. Based on what her budget is, or what the budget that we approved for Jill, there's room in there for that. I would recommend that we approve that. Samantha just wanted us to help with
I'm fine with that.
direction. In the absence of a director, of a extension agent, we're gonna have to do some of those little things.
If the letter is a little bit hard to read, I do have the original that she did write. I wasn't sure how else to get that into your packet, so.
Yeah.
I know where she can get a recording if she needs.
Yeah.
It wasn't in the meeting.
So do we need a motion?
Probably. This is something that would typically just be done,
By the head of the department, but there is no head of the
but we don't
department.
have one. So we're gonna spend some more money.
So she wants 50 cents an hour.
That's what she's asked for. It's been moved by John that Betty's salary be increased by 50 cents per hour. Or, is that correct?
Yeah, as per her request. Yep.
Is there a second to the motion?
Second.
Seconded by Dale. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. John?
Aye.
Dale?
Aye.
Ron?
Aye.
Sean?
Aye.
Troy votes aye. Motion carries. Next thing on the agenda is the South Central Dakota Regional Powers Agreement,
Guess we're gonna.
Joint Powers Agreement.
We kind of took care of that.
This is, we let this ride with the bill for this.
Yeah, under the bills, we just decided not to pay that 4,249 until they come to us, so. I'm not sure if we need to talk about it more.
Isn't that funny? The bureaucracy can force you to be paid dues to another bureaucracy to be eligible for funding by your own tax dollars.
And have the
Isn't that a-
judicial system back it up in the case of garrison diversion.
Mhm.
George, you were right.
So what are we gonna do on this? Just not sign it or tell them one explanation?
Well, we can have an explanation at the same time as we
Yeah.
reconsider the invoice for their dues, I guess.
Okay. Sounds fine.
Are you gonna, can you call them for us and ask them to?
Send an emissary.
Come and help us.
Determine your actual worth.
Yeah, there we go. Make sure it's
Determine the
enforceable.
value of us spending Griggs County taxpayer dollars to chase our tail.
Yep.
Don't put that.
Oh,
It's only what is done, not what is said.
Yeah. All right.
Okay, next thing that's on the agenda, Jamie Sean had asked that Title VI be added to the agenda today to get a little update. I guess we haven't talked about that for a while.
I'm working on it with Jack, or actually kind of been working on it by myself. It's something I need to get done, and I haven't exactly had most time to get to it, but it'll be something that is going to have to get done in the next month or so.
Okay. Then
I think I have all the documents I need. I've been honestly kind of putting it off so we can get a new courthouse building, but I don't think that's going to happen because we have to come up with a plan for the ADA as far as compliance. So I think what I'll do in that for that plan is probably say that we're not going to make any changes to this building because we're going to be in that other building, and there's no sense of going through those expenses and hope that that's fine for that for the ADA compliance.
And then update it.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
Okay. Speaking of which, next thing on the agenda is
New courthouse?
new courthouse, old courthouse.
All right. We got Schultz Plumbing and Heating in there, and there's now 2 systems on the east, 2 on the west, and the big heating system in the middle is running. And as it turns out, that was a good deal. We were just down to 2. There was one in the west and the middle one, and that was it. So I just looked now, and it was 62 degrees in there. I think we're fine as far as it being safe from any cold weather now. I think with the 5 systems running, and the rest of the wall units running, I think we're in good shape there.
5 out of 9.
5 out of 9. Yeah, there's 3 west, 3 east, and 3 in the middle. But the middle one is 2 smaller ones and one bigger one. So we're fine there. I guess Ron has quite a few thoughts on how we should proceed forward. I mean, as far as we're to the point where we've paid everything that we can pay that's certified. I think the letter there in the end is Craft Architects wanting to know what they should do to come back online, and
if we want
them to come back online,
what needs to be completed, who's going to do it,
what's the course of action, what's old.
Yep. What are we legally bound to?
Well, this is just my understanding of the project, that the only thing that was binding Griggs County to the project was the contract with construction engineers.
Yep.
That contract is no longer valid. Construction engineers canceled that contract. There's no specifications that I'm aware of that the building needs to be finished to. So if we assume that the EOC portion of this, Griggs County is obligated to the amount of grant dollars that can be put into the project, we will have the grant dollars to finish the EOC to a point where I think it will comply with the provisions of the grant. And I think from walking through it, it's the heating and cooling systems, the electrical system, which is almost there's not much left to do to that. The flooring and the doors and the woodworking, correct, Ron? Mm-hmm. And anything else, I view this as just a project that was abandoned now because it's under no contract. So we're not obligated to any of the line items that were contained within another contract. We can go finish it and make it usable. And I think we can do that strictly for the EOC. I think that's all we can do it for, because the monies that we have all come to us via the grant. We can't take grant dollars and use them on any other part of the project. The uncertified amounts are only uncertified to the point that we don't have parties agreeing on what's certified or not. There is no basis for certification other than agreement by both parties. So I think it's possible for Ron and I, or Ron and someone, to sit down with the outstanding construction engineers invoices and make a judgment or a recommendation to the county commission, here, this is certifiable, this isn't, here's why this isn't, and then meet with construction engineers and see where they stand on that.
Yeah, but another part of it is that the DES has paid us, I'll say 900, has certified that $900,000 of it was eligible for the grant. And we shouldn't pay construction engineers any more than that, right?
Correct.
So no matter what Crafts probably certified a higher amount than that, but we received a lesser amount from DES. And it's the DES that says, this is how much was eligible
Thus far.
thus far.
Right, and it's...
Well, I don't know that's, we can't hardly make the grant construction engineer's problem.
Well, it's the division of what was in the courtroom and what was in the EOC. And of all those dollars, the DES says that 900,000 was for the EOC, all the rest of it was for the courtroom.
At some point, if the building authority isn't going to cooperate, it's going to come down to somebody determining what portion of this is the EOC and thus the responsibility of the grant, and what portion is the responsibility of the private building authority. So we can make that determination based on what the DES has certified. And we can make that determination based on the square footage and the use of each individual. The EOC is well defined. So if we're willing to accept that the EOC is responsibility of the county up to the point of grant dollars accepted, then we can take those grant dollars and finish the EOC portion of it. Now that won't.
Unless there could be work that construction engineers has done that fell outside the parameters of the grant. I don't know if that's the case, but I'm just saying construction engineers will still do what they're due if they perform work in the EOC that even if DES didn't reimburse us for it.
No, DES has looked at it and they've taken into account all the work done in the EOC. They haven't thrown out any work that's been done in the EOC and not paid for. They have separated it by, here was work that was done for the EOC, and then that they've just separated over that for work that was done in the rest of the building. They haven't said, well, yeah, you put this floor in here, but it's not acceptable, and there's been none of that done.
But there was some like in-kind stuff, and I don't, maybe they aren't big numbers, but the stuff that the county did, they threw out some of that early stuff. Well, if they're doing site work, it'd be hard to argue that this EOC isn't sitting on that side.
Yeah, but if you're just going to the certified amounts by the architect, and those are based on construction engineers' invoices.
That's true.
Then
construction engineers costs
yeah. So it will be a starting point, but it'll be a finishing point. It'll be really close when this is all said and done, because the cost of this project was $3.5 million basically. And to fund that $3.5 million, there was a $1 million grant, there was the $200,000 and $300,000 contribution by Griggs County, which we have paid, and there was a $2.2 million bond. So construction engineers has been invoicing, we've been paying it according to the separate entities. We can continue with that formula, and if there's some things that need to be argued about a little later on, well, possibly so, but this thing's going to come down to who is what for what's been done. Construction engineers is never going to release either party until they're paid in full. And all the mediator is going to do is determine, well, this is the responsibility of the county and this is the responsibility of the building authority. And if we define that now based on the grant monies, and then more importantly, as we move forward, if we only spend money towards the EOC, you can't argue about that. There's the money, there it is. And then at the end, the money that was left over, our last payment from the DES after the whole project is done, will go back to the building authority for any money that they might have put into the project that missed either side of it. So when we're all said and done, every dime that we got from the DES grant will have went into the EOC project, and the county will not have used one penny of that for anything other than that project.
So is the next step to come to an agreement with construction engineers as to what it will take to release the county and the building authority? I mean,
that's out of our hands because that's assuming that we have the ability to compel the building authority to make payment, which they haven't seen fit to do. So I think that we as a county need to take responsibility for what we deem as the county commissioners our responsibility for the project, and that's spending those grant funds towards the EOC. And I think we can take the grant funds that we have, and we can hire outside labor to finish this thing, and then we can use the leftover monies to pay our portion of the outstanding bill with construction engineers, which is, there's part of it that's not disputed. It's the holdback. So the holdback is
I thought it was 140, but 130 somewhere in there.
$130,000.
so we would pay them 34% of that or whatever.
Yeah, we 34% of the 140 would be the responsibility of the EOC in rough numbers. Now, if that gets fine-tuned later on, and if it goes to mediation or wherever, that's fine. But at least we've made a conscious, dedicated effort to try to pay everything that the county is due, and we'll be able to move forward with the project. And there is money to do that. We've got 80,000. We're going to get another 76,000 as we finish the EOC portion or the projects that we have. We'll turn it in for reimbursement. When it's all said and done, any money left over then will go to the building authority.
That should go fairly quickly too if we're just doing EOC stuff when we turn in for reimbursement.
I believe so. I believe so because it won't require a whole lot of documentation or nothing else. Here's the bill, and in one essence, we were done a favor by construction engineers canceling this contract, because now it let us be where we should have been in the first place, two separate projects. Although we're still strapped with the financial responsibility. If the building authority chooses not to pay and construction engineers takes us to court, they're taking both entities to court. But it'll have to get sorted out somewhere, and if we've already went 95% of the way to sorting it out, we're on the right side of the issue then.
So your opinion is we should pay them their retainage now?
Not yet, not until we went through and determined. I think the first step would be to appoint a committee of two to go through the invoices 8 and 8A and determine what is certifiable as far as the EOC portion of the project.
It seems to me that, and I understand that it's difficult when this is a three-party agreement, but it seems to me that the next thing that should be done is the three entities should sit down with construction, or two entities and construction engineers, and say, okay, here's the number we have in front of us. What is a palatable number? From that point, we can determine who owes what. And then if the county paid construction engineers whatever that percentage was of the remaining balance that they agreed to, then they should be done knocking on our door.
That's what will happen, but that might be down the road a ways, and I don't think we want to wait with finishing the construction portion of this to that point. I think we go ahead and finish this thing and put these other matters, keep working on them But unless we have cooperation from the building authority, we're not gonna get released from our obligation via that contract. So let's get it all set, and let's get everything done, let's have all our ducks in a row, and then let's sit down when we have a firmer grip on exactly what we owe out of the remaining $274,000 balance that's being disputed. Let's go through and get a grip on what we think we owe there, and we can only do it based on fact. So we can't throw something out just because we don't like the amount. We'll throw it out because there's no verification, or there was no certification, or there was no contractual obligation to let them charge that. And then we're accomplishing both sides of it. We're moving forward with the project, and we're also moving forward with getting to a point where ultimately it will come to someone will decide each party's financial responsibility. And if we move towards that line, we're better off. We've made an attempt to try to settle this. But without the building authority jumping in and being our partner in this, that's not going to happen. So if we get into mediation and we've taken care of 95% of what we were ultimately obligated to pay, mediation isn't too tough a deal for us.
Flooring, heat,
Electrical.
and electrical, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe some mechanical, or he's got all three hooked up, you said?
Well, they're not. They're just temporary.
Okay, but there'll be some more mechanical work.
Yeah, so I think the first step is we should put an ad in the paper asking for bids on the mechanical portion of it, on the heating cooling system, and let's get that up and running and functioning. And then let's follow that with a bid to do the woodwork, and let's follow that with a bid to do the carpeting, and then it's pretty much done.
Yeah, we could just, in the advertisement, we could just say Griggs County is taking bids for the completion of the EOC center. See Samantha for details.
What's the dollar value of work that you guys think needs to be done in that place?
Boy, not under 25,000. For the EOC center, mechanical 5,000, electrical 5,000, flooring 5,000. Under 25, doors wouldn't be that much.
Mm-hmm.
But
Is all the materials and everything there?
the flooring material, yeah, and the doors are there too. And in mechanical, they have those condenser units, I call them, or heat pumps.
Mhm.
Those are there to be installed later. Electrically, I believe everything's there.
Yeah, and the bid from
So it's
construction
mostly
engineers,
labor then?
construction engineer says to finish it's $186,000. 37% of that is going to put you in the $90,000 range somewhere. The $60,000 range. So as long as we come in under that, we don't need to call for bids anyway, do we? It's been
No,
bid
as long as
already.
it's under 100,000.
Right. Well, yes. Yeah. I mean,
But it's part of a project, isn't it?
what's that?
It's part of a $3 million project.
It is part of the $3 million project. I've actually been talking with Aaron Burst about this today. And it is part of the project, but if we had the contract, had the bid,
That's
for
right.
the construction engineers.
That's right.
And this, even though it is part of a project, I don't necessarily agree with this, but I can see where he is coming from. I can see where you're coming from now. It's a new project. It's a new project, but it's not really a new project. But as long as it's under 100,000, I think we can get by without taking bids.
Yeah, I mean, this project has been through the bidding process, and it is qualified for that. This isn't any different than the contractor dying and us having to hire a contractor to come in and pick up where he left off. I don't see it anyway. I don't see it as a new project. But the $100,000 limit, we can certainly be under that on the EOC portion of this.
And I think if we place the advertisement, I imagine we'll just get one mechanical bid. We'll probably get one flooring bid from the local flooring contractor.
We still can place for bids, just.
Yeah, we can put it out for bids in order to do the best service to the taxpayer.
I think we should advertise that we are taking bids for it,
Yeah.
so that the two local carpenters or whatever they are can both bid on hanging those doors.
I don't know what the process is with the heating contractor. I don't know if they have to have it inspected. I'm sure they have to have the fire suppression system inspected but I know, I talked to Bergstrom Electric on Monday, and there's an open certificate on this job. To me, they did what's done. They would just as soon finish it. We can force them to have it inspected, close that certificate, and open a new certificate with a different contractor, but they would like to just come and finish it.
Well, I'd say we still can advertise for bids, and if they're cheapest or close to cheapest.
That'll be the bid in our best interest. Would you
I don't-
accept Bergstrom's?
I don't know if it, I mean, yeah, you could probably do that. I don't know, nobody is gonna come a bid on that when there's somebody else's certificate. And their bond is hanging on this job. Nobody else can walk in there and start wiring on
Right.
that thing today. That,
You know, that might bring us to the situation if they're gonna wire that whole place up, might bring us to that aggregate of over $100,000, so they may have to be bid.
well, you wouldn't have to have them finish the courthouse portion of it.
No.
But is it all tied together?
Not if they don't decide to move forward with it. That could sit that way for 10 years.
No, they don't have to finish that part.
There's no contract tying them together anymore. These are separate projects. So,
Right.
you know. But I mean, I think if Bergstrom Electric would be willing to come in and finish it, I think that would be great. But I think if the heating contractor would be willing to come in and finish that, that would be great. But I don't think that's the case. But if we could talk to Bergstrom Electric and say, can you come in and finish this for us? That's probably the way to do it. The doors and the carpeting doesn't make a whole lot of difference, and for that matter, the heating system doesn't make a lot of difference. Anybody can do that. And there is no open certificate on that.
I don't know if there's a process with the plumbing inspector or the fire suppression equipment, or I don't know how that works.
Well, that's a bridge we'll have to cross when we get there. But as long as we move forward here with tasks that need to be done and don't need to be redone after we do them, we're money ahead. We're working towards getting this thing inhabited. And if we can get it inhabited, then we can. I remember our insurance bill will get cut, by 3/4 also. And we don't have to have the lobby open in order to make it usable. There is a west door for the EOC center, and we can shut everything else off. We could make it just so you use the EOC center of it. I don't see where there's any downside to going forward. Is there, Jamie?
I don't think
Was
so.
I'm missing. I mean, I mean, Ron's got a really good grip on the financial side of this as far as what's left. I mean, I think that can all be justified real easily with a little bit of time.
One thing we might want to do is get a hold of DES and make sure that we can get our occupancy and pass the audit if only half of that building is functioning.
It doesn't make any difference. If zero of it's functioning, we know we can't. So it makes no difference if we have the thing finished there to completion. We're still in a lot better position when they come to audit it than if it's sitting in the position it is right now.
Oh yeah.
We made an attempt to get it done, and if we can't get it done because we're being held up by an outside force that won't let us get a certificate of occupancy or electrical, we're still have a better arguing position than letting it sit like this and not doing nothing. So I think we should get it up and function.
They're only gonna audit the EOC portion, right?
Right.
Right.
Now Ron, he did get an explanation on the Davis-Bacon.
Oh, yeah, that Davis-Bacon does, I thought they would only have to have Davis-Bacon wages on the EOC portion. But Debbie Lacombe sent me an email and said that Davis-Bacon wages would have to be paid on the entire project.
Okay, well, that's something else that could be paid right away then.
Well,
And
but
that's part
only,
of it.
only to the EOC's portion of that. Remember this project was completely in the hands of the building authority by contract. They were the one that moved it forward as one project. Yes, we should pay it's $24,000 is the actual Davis-Bacon wages.
But I mean, if we think 10,000 of it is our,
Correct. That
because
can
the
be,
EOC's responsibility, we can pay that.
and that's where Ron and I are under the assumption that we should take care of the Davis-Bacon and the portion of the retainage that pertains to the certified amounts could be taken care of. And that would put us in a position where we've paid everything that we have the ability to pay. And we don't have the ability to take these funds and use them on that rest of that project because that's in violation of the grant.
Has there been any contact with the building authority as of late? I mean, the contract's severed. The building is not done. Appears the funding is in place to complete the project. Are they willing to move forward with this thing, or what is their plan? I don't know what their end game is.
I can contact their attorney and see what they're gonna do.
Because in preparation for, I'm just thinking out loud, in preparation for the next step, which I agree with you, is, I gotta talk to Bergstrom again. He didn't give me an answer, because the problem is the subs are still under contract with construction engineers, unless there's some language in their contract that severs those contracts upon the severance of the contract with the county. And I don't know how that all works. I don't know what's primary. I don't know what's customary.
Yeah, I haven't read the electrical contract with the general contract.
Well, how would you?
But we've got all those contracts.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
You have the subcontracts?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
we've had them, quite a while.
Oh, okay.
It's part of what Debbie Lacombe needed.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, Bergstrom expressed interest in finishing the project, but they didn't know, they wanted to talk to construction engineers before they committed. Just because of their own contract. So if I talk to them again and we ask them to mobilize and come out here and finish this thing, only on the EOC side, it's going to be more costly, and in the end the taxpayers are going to pay the whole bill. It seems to me if we could move ahead together, if in fact those guys would prefer to do that, it would be in everybody's best interest.
But could Bergstrom give us two prices, one for just the UOC?
I'm sure they can, Ron, but my point is it would
the
be more,
mobilization costs.
it would be easier and less costly for the taxpayers if it all gets done at the same time.
But the building authority could say no. So
They-
that's why I was saying.
I think that should be Plan B.
Yeah.
That's my only.
Okay, that's just why I was saying we have that option, so.
I completely agree with you, but I don't think that should be our Plan A, if it doesn't have to be.
Okay.
Do you agree? I mean,
Yeah, so you'll ask Bergstrom for a price to do the whole thing?
no. I'm saying, I think Jamie should contact their attorney and find out, and just tell them here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna move forward. We have the funding in place to finish the EOC center. We think it would be more economical for the taxpayers of Griggs County if we move forward together. Do you have any interest in that? If they don't, then we have no choice but to move forward.
I think their lack of contact and their lack of action already demonstrates what their position is, and I'm not in favor of wasting any more time in this. I think we go ahead and we move forward, and if they deem that it is in their best interest to move forward, they move forward, they come along. But we're not doing any good here We're not doing anything good here, waiting on each other.
But it won't take any time to contact them and tell them what our plan is. If we don't do that, they don't know we're moving forward.
Here's the way the plan will go. We'll contact them. We'll say, are you interested in moving forward? They'll write a letter back to us saying, we're interested in moving forward, but you have to comply with this, and this. Then we'll argue about whether we can comply with this, and this, when that's what the purpose of mediation is. We can't get caught in this back and forth thing here. The time to
I don't
move
want
forward.
I don't want to open up a mediation. We can then respond to them and say, no, we're not in mediation. We're planning to complete this project. End of story.
I move that we go into executive session.
Been moved by John that we go into executive session. Is there a second to the motion?
Yeah, I'll second it.
Seconded by Ron. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Who keeps calling that number?
This is a phone downstairs. Small office number.
Oh, the general public.
Huh? Auditor's office.
Okay, we're still visiting about the courthouse. Appears to me that we are kind of in the general consensus that we should try to move forward with this project. In doing that, I know Ron and John have spent a lot of time going through the numbers and what's paid and who's paid it and what construction engineers' expectations are. Just as a matter of bringing everybody up to speed, I would propose that John and Ron be appointed as a courthouse committee and bring back a compilation to the rest of us, so that we get some understanding of where we are and where we need to go from here. Is that agreeable by you guys?
Yeah.
You volunteers? Thank you for your efforts.
And then how about as far as putting an ad in the paper to move forward with construction?
We're gonna wait for something. What the heck was it that we decided?
See if DES needs a contract.
Yes.
Oh, you need.
See if we need any formal process to do that in their eyes. I hope not, but
I guess we could
Well, I think
say,
we can come up with language and put in the paper. If we don't need anything, we can go on Tuesday's papers before a meeting, and if we do, then we've got stuff to figure out, I guess.
Yeah, I think we can ask for proposals. I think in the paper it should list a contact person, either probably Ron, to walk them through and show them what needs to be done. And then come back with, then we can proceed from there. You know, it doesn't hurt to get a price on it and then decide whether we can proceed forward.
but we should talk to Debbie McCollum first and make sure they're okay with us doing what we're doing, right? Yeah, on Monday, I guess. And then place the advertisement Tuesday or.
Yeah, because we don't have much choice. We don't have a contract in place. So in order to finish this thing, we're gonna have to move forward somehow.
Right.
And whether it be a one-page contract that says.
it could be time and material at this point.
Right.
But, So the contract that or the proposals we're gonna advertise in the paper are just for the heating and mechanical?
I was gonna say for the completion of the EOC center and leave it open so that for flooring and wood doors, we can get some prices. But
Yeah, for the completion of the EOC center, and then we could
Break it into the entities.
3 different entities. Yeah, we can do that.
Because if you do it for the project in its entirety, you're not gonna
Get somebody. No.
you're gonna get a general contractor who's gonna hire a bunch of subs again. I mean,
No, but if we say for the completion, that means to me that we could take separate sub bids for the flooring.
But I mean, could we word it? Could we word it? The Griggs County is looking for contractors for the completion of the EOC center. Items that need to be finished: mechanical, flooring,
I think so.
electrical.
Yeah, just list it in
Yeah,
those 3
electrical
categories.
And you could say you could bid on all.
and carpentry, and bid on all.
One or all.
Yeah,
One or all,
yeah. And I mean, and I don't know if we need to lump sum bid.
It shouldn't say all or none. It should be
Preference.
one or more.
Yeah. Okay, one or more of the packages.
And I don't know if it needs to be a lump sum bid. I think at this point it could be time and materials. There's not much materials, it could just be time, you know. I don't know what.
I think so, yeah.
Well, we can determine that when we determine what's left to finish.
Yeah.
Do you have any luck getting a hold of Agassi?
Yeah, I talked to Agassi just for the point of telling him that we'd seen if he'd been paid up to his certified the amounts that he had coming, and he was going to get back to me on that, and he hasn't.
He didn't know.
No.
Really?
Well, if he knew, he was going to get back to me on it. So I'm expecting his call. And I'll give him a courtesy call when we put this into the paper that we're looking for mechanical contractors to finish this, and just to make sure he's aware of the possibility.
The reason I ask is because he's got possession of some of the equipment, I presume.
Yes, he does.
And
it has been, if we're paid up to the certified amounts, he's been paid for that equipment, so.
And Bergstrom Electric indicated to me that they have been getting paid as we pay. So apparently Construction Engineers is
Sharing.
they're paying out on a percentage basis as they are paid. So okay.
Am I supposed to put that in the paper or?
Well, we gotta check with the DES first, right? Just make sure they don't have any
Yeah,
problems with it.
let Ron and I write that up.
Okay.
We'll get it to you.
I'll
Sounds good.
get with you later Monday, I'm sure I can find one.
Okay. I just have to have it to the paper so I know on Tuesday. So.
Old courthouse?
Do you have any?
Well, I do have one thing. I mean, a while ago, we put the DES director in charge of moving forward with getting, so that we could do something with this building if and when we got moved in there. Where do we stand on that? I mean, it's evident that we're gonna get moved in there. What, has he made progress on moving forward so we can do something with this building?
Well, speaking, I should say that I'm gonna start working, try this weekend to work on moving into this building from the bank. Christina's boxes, I know I've gotta spend time cleaning and going through files in the office and here, so that'll probably take a day in itself, so I plan on spending a day here this weekend trying to get stuff organized so I can move.
So maybe Bob should be put on the agenda for next meeting so that we can ask him those questions.
Okay.
Because that was his assurance that we could tear this down and we wouldn't have to incur the expense of taking care of it. It had something to do with us moving forward and accepting the grant funds. So bad situation here, we gotta get straightened out. Yeah, we have to, now we do have to work towards that conclusion.
If we can. And put that on the next agenda.
Well, we were assured that we could.
I know, we were assured of kind of a lot of things.
Good mighty word.
I move we adjourn.
Been moved, we adjourn. Is there a second to the motion?
Which one?
They don't want to do it.
All in favor, say aye.
They were feeding the bulls.
Motion carries, meeting adjourned.
Yeah.
Next meeting at
What is it?
4:54 PM. Next meeting will be on January the 23rd at 1 PM.
January the 23rd, huh?